From Hank Greenberg Field in Audubon, New Jersey, Dan Wilkins Broadcasting brings you the second game in the Ralph Shaw Tournament. This afternoon, it will be the Paul VI Eagles facing off against the Audubon Green Wave, the host of the 29th annual Audubon Tournament. Hello, everybody. I'm Dan Wilkins. Gavin Van Rel on the call with me for Game 2. Game 1 was a little bit of a snoozer. Bishop Eustace took care of Ocean City in 5 innings, 11-1. They have locked up their spot in the title game, but now spot number 2 will be determined by the winner of this one. Paul VI coming into the game with a 3-2 record. They've beaten some good teams to start, but they've got the left-hander committed to Rowan and Trent Ferrara on the hill tonight.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see how Audubon will face Trent Ferrara today. They've had a little struggle against lefties in the past, and this season, once again, coming in with a younger squad, you have to face guys like this committed to the bigger programs around here, and that's a real test of what you can do in the postseason.
And for PVI, I apologize, they're 2-3, not 3-2. But those 2 wins that they've had have all been valuable, and all the teams that they've played have been valuable teams. They've handed Haddonfield their only loss of the year, 4-1 on opening day, but then they lost their three in a row to RV, Bishop Eustace, and Cherokee. All 3 very respectable teams, and we very well could see PVI and Eustace in the final. But for Audubon, they're 2-1. They picked up a really tough loss that we covered over at Clearview, but then they dismantled Camden Catholic 15-1. And then they picked up a good Group 2 win over West Deptford. They've now won their last 2 in a row, and they've got Evan Paxos on the hill, the right-hander.
Yeah, that game against Camden Catholic was very interesting as they bounced back really strongly from the 10-run loss to Clearview. And Aaron Pilla, the outfielder who didn't see any at-bats in that first game we covered, he led the state in hits that day with 4 hits, one of them being a triple.
And for Audubon, again, this is one of their youngest teams in years. But it's not to fret because Rich Horan has only had 1 sub-500 season in his 32 years of coaching. That was 2005 when Audubon went 6-16. So for PVI, it's a new look field in the Ralph Shaw. PVI and, Ocean City, they replaced Kingsway and Camden Catholic. Kingsway was a mainstay in this tournament, but now Bishop Eustace will play the Dragons in the Down Beach Coaches versus Cancer Classic in Margate. So it should be a fun one, but tonight, Audubon and Paul VI face off in Game 2 of 4 this weekend. Don't forget, we will also be on the air for Sunday's matchups, the consolation game starting at noon, and the championship game to decide all the marbles will be at 3 o'clock. Audubon's getting ready to take the field. Here from Hank Greenberg Field in Audubon, it's Paul VI and Audubon right after the break. Welcome back. Your starter for Audubon this afternoon will be Evan Paxos, the right-hander, the sophomore. 4 innings for the right-hander, 5 walks, 5 Ks. We saw him in relief last Tuesday versus Clearview. He's got an 8.75 ERA, but don't let those numbers fool you. He was one of the top freshman pitchers in the state last season, or at least in South Jersey, and as a freshman, his numbers were pretty respectable. He had a 1.66 ERA and a 25 1/3 innings mark. As we'll take a look at what Paul VI has cooking up for first-year head coach Nick Gruber. Leading off will be Gabe Laro at second base. Coastal Carolina commit Mason Myers is in center field. Nick Shear is at first base. Gabe Rogers is a designated hitter. Santino Vitriello is the right fielder. Caden Conway is the third baseman, batting in the 6th position. In the 7 slot will be, Caleb Cassakurt at short. And then in the 8 slot, as this game gets underway with a ball inside, just doesn't go there, 1-0. 8 slot Brock Mission, 9 slot Cole Martin, the catcher. And as we said, underway with a ball inside from Paxos. 65 degrees at first pitch here from Audubon, wind blowing out to right center. And time of first pitch, 2:09 p.m. 2-0 here to the leadoff man. Strike is called, 2-1. Gabe Laro, 235 hitter, hits this on the ground to Broglie. Throw to first is in time, and a quick 4-3 ground out opens up the ball game. And all those Audubon players saying, we got one, like they're seagulls in Finding Nemo, is a perfect example of the culture that Richie Horan has at Audubon. 32 years as a head coach. We mentioned he's only had 1 sub-500 season. A swing and a miss by Myers on the first pitch, 0-1. You know, it's one of those things where it's the little things that matter. Obviously, you got to win ball games, but to do that, you have to be prepared. You have to be disciplined. And I would say Audubon players being disciplined is an understatement. But it's 1-1 to Mason Myers, the commit to Coastal Carolina. Paxos, 1-1, low.
The last time Myers faced Audubon, Dan, it was against Cade Schofield, a not usual pitcher for Audubon last year in regular season play, and he had a home run.
Myers looking to break a cold streak to start the year, 2 for 15. 297 career hitter, though. At only 47 at-bats, he nursed an injury in the first couple of weeks of the season, went 15 for 47. 2 homers, 8 extra base hits. As a high chopper, he'll go over to first base. And tagging the bag with ease is Joey Waller at first base. 2 down now for Nick Shear. Shear, 6'1", 190. Strike called. 417 average this season in a small sample size, 5 for 12. And it's strike 2, 0-2. Shear commit to Holy Family to Division II in Philadelphia. Paxos looking to shut him down. Schofield, Filippi, and Broglie in the bottom of the first for Audubon, as that one's low. Audubon playing their first non-public school of the year. They played Group 3 Clearview on Tuesday the 31st. Lost that game in 5 innings, 11-1. One's low. Their second non-public of the year, I'm sorry. They beat Camden Catholic, 15-1. Had a huge 3rd inning in that game, 8 runs. So they had 1 mercy rule against, 1 mercy rule in favor, and then a standard 5-1 win over West Deptford at their home field. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Paxos from the windup, foul tip. Count remains 2-2. Audubon in their bright yellow jerseys. This has been their set since, I believe, 2024. This will be their 3rd season in that rotation. This is their only uniform. Road, away, neutral. They wear this uniform every time they take the field. as a slow roller out towards short. Schofield is there. He'll shuffle. Throw to first is in time. Waller takes it, and the inning is over. And look at that sprint off the field. We talk about culture. There's not many like the Green Wave, but more like the Yellow Wave tonight with their jerseys. In the Ralph Shaw Classic, they host the Eagles, and they'll go to the bottom of the first with no score. Welcome back, bottom of the first. Your starter for Paul VI is Trent Ferrara, left-hander committed to Rowan University. 3.94 ERA in 5 1/3 innings, 2 walks, 7 Ks, and a 1.69 ERA. Glad to see him on the hill today because this is going to be a fun pitcher to watch. Lefties are worth their weight in gold, and they'll be facing the green and gold in the Audubon Green Wave, led by 32nd-year head coach Rich Horan. Starting lineup for the Green Wave, Cade Schofield leads us off at short. Colin Filippi is in left field batting second. Matt Brogley, the sophomore, is at second base batting third. It'll be Chase Bozarth, the right fielder, batting cleanup. That one's outside. Ben Loheed is the catcher batting fifth. Jude Connor at third batting sixth. Evan Paxos is the pitcher in the seventh slot. Theo Calandros is the DH. And Aaron Pilla is your center fielder. That one's low to Schofield. But a quick first inning for Paxos, only threw 9 pitches. On 3 ground balls, nonetheless. So Paxos might not have as many strikeouts as Dan Pasalacqua did. He had 10 in the 11-1 win for Bishop Eustis over Ocean City. So we'll have the championship set after today and the consolation. Audubon's dugout, rallying it up. That one's a foul ball. How about this Saramonic boom mic that we have right in front of the camera? I mean, you can hear that dugout so well even through our headsets. It's a great thing because I've done Audubon games for so long, and I always wanted to find a way to make dugouts that are loud sound loud on the broadcast because that's important. Schofield sends this one out towards center. Myers going over. It will defer to the left fielder in Brock Mission. And they'll be one away. Good swing by Schofield, just couldn't get anything rolling that time.
You know, Dan, you talked about the quality increase of these broadcasts, and I've been talking about it the last week. I've been working with you again. It's unbelievable the amount of time and effort that you've been able to put in, and what you're getting back is just great quality stuff here.
Especially if you look at the first Ralph Shaw that we ever covered, 2022. We've done this the last 5 years, and we've covered both days 4 out of the last 5 years. As that one's outside, 2-0 to Filippi. If you look back at the 2022 games that we did, there were some good games, but man, that quality was not there at all. It was just, I didn't really know what I was doing. I was a sophomore in high school, and my voice was like an octave higher than it is now, but you know, we all have those moments. 3-0 to Filippi. Ferrara delivers. And that one is ball 4. So Colin Filippi gets a 4-pitch walk, and Listen, that's your job as the two-hitter. Schofield, he was the one that tried to set the pace, got that fly ball to deep center, didn't get anything out of it. But it'll now be your number 3 batter in Broglie, trying to set the tone even more. First pitch, up and away. That's 5 straight balls for Ferrara. I mean, if you're Trent Ferrara, you've got to get this control under control so that this doesn't slip from you early, because Audubon's one of those teams that if they rally early in the game, it's going to be hard to get them out of the game. And it's going to be hard to get yourself reinserted into that position, into that assertion that, your offense is going to have what it takes.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, you really have to shut this offense down in the first 3 innings because they are coming off of a very hot stretch, most notably with that win over West Deptford just the other day.
Yeah, I think that they're going to have to, just work their magic a little bit. Like we said, Audubon's one of those teams that every year people think that they're finally going to take a step back or they're finally going to falter when they haven't lost in the first round since 2021 versus Delsey, and that was when Delsey was Group 1, or I guess they were Group 2, and Audubon was Group 2 at the time. Back then, I think it also was proportioned differently because of COVID. It's a foul back to the wood. And long at bat here for Broglie. It's 1-2 still.
Well, speaking of strange arrangements, how weird is it to see PVI in the Ralph Shaw Classic?
I haven't been in it since 2019, I'm pretty sure. And it's Ocean City's first time. Ferrara, 1-2. Up and away. So 2-2 now.
I was just starting to get used to those first-round classics between Kingsway and Bishop Eustace that every year seemed to end in some kind of crazy ending.
Well, Kingsway and Bishop Eustace are now playing in the CVC Classic, Coaches versus Cancer in Margate. And strike 3 called. Broglie goes down on strikes, and there's 2 away. We're in the bottom of the first inning. Chase Bozarth, the commit to Eastern University, will now be the batter. Audubon searching for their first hit early, looking to get it from their cleanup man. Connor Chester is not playing today. He is injured. Showed up today with a boot on one of his feet, so wish him the best for the multi-sport athlete. Strike called. 1-1. Bozarth is a solid 2-way player for what it's worth. I think Audubon's just got to figure out how to use him effectively because he is a strong pitcher. That one's upstairs. Bozarth hitting 143 this year, only 7 at-bats though. Was 23 for 82 last season with 20 RBIs, 5 extra base hits, 280 average, 354 slugging. And the 2-1. Breaking ball upstairs. Missed the mark that time. Three balls, 1 strike. Ferrara, the future Rowan Prof, trying to keep his control here for PVI in the first inning. Big swing by Bozarth, and it's 3-2.
Bozarth's got a lot of power in that swing there. We saw it last year. He had a great swing of going the other way into the gap, getting doubles out of that, and let's see if he can make use of that here.
As we said, Bozarth, a high-volume hitter for Audubon. 20 RBIs last year, and that's in combination with 23 hits. So if you want to put the math together, last season he really did like hitting with bases on, as here's a fly ball out to second base, running in. This could be trouble. It is trouble. Goes off the glove of the right fielder, coming in to score. Audubon's got the lead. Chase Bozarth will get a 2-base error to right field. PVI lost the ball. The sun was beaming down on Gabe Laro and Santino Virtuello. It'll be an E9 on the right fielder, And Chase Bozarth gets the one-run home. It's 1-0 Audubon.
Well, he did go the other way. I thought maybe it'd have a little bit more juice on it, but that's just about as much as you can ask for. You get the job done, and now you're on second base with still more runs to go if you're Audubon.
Unfortunately for Bozarth's individual stats, although I'm sure he's not worried about it, it won't count as a hit. And it won't count for an RBI either, so. But he does get that run home for the Eastern commit.
Well, if it counts for anybody, Dan, I think it counts for the hearts of those guys in the dugout there as they just exploded.
They're loving this so far as Lougheed pops it up. This is going to go out of play. We'll go into the street.
For a team like Audubon to get up to a one-run lead here in the first against a perennial big private school against PVI, that's very encouraging here, as we did not see that last year and the last time they faced each other.
Yeah, these two have been playing as non-conference opponents since 2023. Lougheed takes upstairs, 2-1. PVI will bat 4, 5, and 6 in the second. It'll be Gabe Rogers, Santino Vitrello, and Caden Conway. (3-1). Yep, Ferrara steps off, and time was called at the plate. Paul VI with a new head coach. Nick Gruber replaces 3-year head coach DM Phillips. That one is low. It'll be 3-1 here to Lougheed. If the inning continues, Jude Cotter, the sophomore third baseman, will be on deck. As we talked about, very young team for Audubon. Schofield, a junior, Filippi, and Bozarth and Caladros are the only 3 seniors in this lineup. Pardon, there's 4 with Aaron Pilla. But still having less than 4 seniors in the lineup, not a lot of teams can say that. Last night was a good example of it. We saw Glassboro. They had 7 sophomores in their starting lineup, and the other 2 were seniors. You can hear that wind whipping out to right field. Gusts up to 21 miles an hour this afternoon, but it is a nice and sunny 65 degrees. Couldn't ask for anything better here. You've got a breeze and you've got the sunshine. Payoff from Ferrara. Lougheed fouls it off the netting, still 3-2.
Well, even more than that, Dan, right field at this field is the short porch, so if you're a lefty hitter, you have a really great chance to pull one if you can get good bat on ball here.
There was a home run hit by Mason Rosenberg right over our heads. It cleared both fences and went onto the track in right center. Definitely was carried by the wind, although probably would have been gone either way. This is a very hitter-friendly ballpark. 320 down the lines, 358 is the deepest part of the park in left center field. Where we're standing, it's about 350 from home plate. Ferrara with pitch number 26 of the first inning, and it's ball 4. That one just missed. I'm sure Ferrara disagrees with it. It's the second walk he's allowed, and the batter will be Jude Cotter. He'll keep the inning alive. I don't even really think that was his fault. I think that was right at the knees. It dropped maybe an inch or 2 more than you wanted it to.
That's a really nice pitch, too. There's not much you can do about location. You're just really hoping that either the umpire gives you that call or you get a swing and miss there, but a very great eye from Lougheed.
Can't ask for much more. Here's Jude Cotter, 3 for 6 this season. Batting .500, 2 of his 3 hits are doubles. Has recorded a hit in every game this season. 1 hit apiece versus Clearview, Camden Catholic, and West Deptford. Here's the 1-0. Stepping off there. No trip for Audubon to Myrtle Beach this year. They did that last year, picked up 5 wins down there in 6 games. En route to a 20-win season. This one's flared out towards right field. That's going to drop. It is a foul ball. Just got over the head of Nick Shear. And Paul VI is lucky that that one sliced barely enough
Yeah, that would have been real trouble there, as you saw the courtesy runner already around second base by the time that ball dropped, and Bozarth was on pace to score.
Definitely would have been a good RBI if that was the case. But Ferrara looking to settle down. The runner at first for Audubon is number 14, Drew Pachowski. Ground ball out to short. No, it's picked up at third. They'll throw to second, and that's going to be a 5-4 fielder's choice to end the inning. Not the runner I thought they were going to go for, but they got the easiest out possible as Paul VI holds Audubon to 1 run, but Trent Ferrara throws 30 pitches in the first inning. We'll see how Nick Gruber manages it as we go to the top of the second. 1-0, Green Wave. Gabe Rogers leads us off for Paul VI as Paxos delivers. Strike called, outside corner. Audubon sent 6 men to the plate. Did not record a hit, but scored a run. They had 2 walks, an E9 on the right fielder when Bozarth dropped it down. And I have that as an error mostly because it hit his glove and it also would have been an otherwise ordinary effort play. So it'll be funny if Eustis and PVI match up in the championship because Gabe Rogers is a transfer from Bishop Eustis. Thought I remembered that name, but we do have a handful of transfers on these teams. First of all, Ty Rogers transferred out of PVI to go to Kingsway. We also have Cade Schofield at shortstop from Highland Regional High School. 2-2, fouled back. So it'll be Rogers, Vitrello, who made that error, and Caden Conway. And we will be at all of Ralph Shaw's actions tomorrow. So a little dribbler put in play. Pass third, gonna be a tough play. Coming in glove side, throw, not in time. No throw. Infield single, Gabe Rogers. And I'm probably sure that there's one coach that would be telling Evan Paxos to run to the ball, but that would have been a tough play either way. It's what we call a cue shot. You know, Rogers just placed it at the right time. It wasn't a bunt or anything, full swing. Made weak contact, but it was enough to get on, and he'll reach with nobody out here in the top of the second for Santino Vitrello. Paxos stealing with his first traffic of the afternoon. Tipped foul, 0-1.
Well, Paxos is a guy who comes into this. He has really good stuff with runners on base. Usually does most of his work with runners on, as last year he was used as a starter to begin the season for Audubon. He was their opening day starter as a freshman, and now coming into this, he's being relied on heavily in these big games once again.
Time called at the plate. Paxos, the 0-1. Swing and a miss. No balls, 2 strikes to Vitriello. But Ferrara had 32 pitches in the first inning, and Paxos in the second is up to 21 total. Throw back to first, not in time. Both of these dugouts pretty spirited. I feel like those are the games that are the best, when both dugouts are at it, but it's all sportsmanlike. It's not, you know, jarring at each other. Because that does happen. But I've seen games where a dugout will make one gesture towards a player and the umps will shut it down. Like, they will go over there and you know, they will shut it down right away. I think that the NJSIAA is really cracking down on those kind of actions, as we've got a throw down to second. He got him! And that's a strike him out, throw him out, double play. Ben Lougheed, the backup catcher for Theo Caladros, made that play. And there's 2 down. You blink and you miss it. That's just a fantastic play right there. Taking a look at it here. Got him there, and then there's the throw. Applied the tag right in time. And it's 0-1. That one skips away from Conway.
That's one of the most beautiful plays in all of baseball. I see it a lot with the Phillies with JT Realmuto, when you have a guy like that behind the plate who can really dish it. And it's really nice to see that from the sophomore Lougheed.
Strike called. Shows a lot of prowess behind the plate, that's for sure. 1 ball, 2 strikes. 7, 8, 9 will bat for Audubon in the bottom of the second, leading off with Evan Paxos, and then Caladros and Pilla. Whew. Everybody moved on that one. False start, 5-yard penalty, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Or 2 balls, 2 strikes. I mean, everybody moved. They thought that was strike 3. And that one is strike 3. Paxos sets him down. We'll go to the bottom of the second. 1-0. Audubon leads. Hank Greenberg Field here between Paul VI and Audubon. That one's away to Evan Paxos. Lefty-lefty matchup to start out the frame. Paxos, Caladros, and Waller is the batter. Due up in the bottom of the second inning. Audubon got a run on no hits. 2 walks against Ferrara. He threw 32 pitches in the first. And that's hard to judge for PVI. It's a big swing and a miss. You throw 32 pitches, but you only give up 1 run. So it could have been way worse, but it also could have been way better. You know, you're hitting a middle ground. But that also most likely means that unless Ferrara is extremely efficient, that the Eagles will have to dip into their bullpen at some point today. 3 balls, 1 strike to Paxos.
When you look at a batter like Paxos, he's a very tall guy, so it broadens the zone.
It's ball 4. Pitcher helps his own cause, gets the free pass.
Paxos, a guy who got his first hit just a few days back against Camden Catholic in that onslaught of offense.
We mentioned 8 runs in 4 innings. They won that game as a 5-inning mercy. Theo Caladros, the batter here, with a runner on first. Nobody out after the walk to Paxos. He does have a runner for him. That is number 15 in Joe Waller. So he is in the field today playing first base. But when you're as a field-only player, you can also run. As that ball's going to get away, this one's going to go out past the fence to the street, and they're going to let him advance to second. Are they going to let him go to third? Because it went out of play. This is something that they discuss in ground rules, I guess. Yeah, they will let him go to third because somebody over there said that the ball. I saw the ball; it went through the fence. So that will be 2 bases, and now not really Ferrara's fault, although he will get charged for the throwing error. It'll now be Nick Gruber coming out, or at least the assistant coach coming out to talk to his man Ferrara. But that's a great start for Audubon there. If you can set the tone, even with a walk, you advance 2 bases there on the throwing error. They're pressuring PVI right now. They're not really doing it with their bats, but they're doing it with their brains, if that makes sense.
Well, you certainly have to be careful when you're picking off to first, or that can happen exactly like that. Same goes for third, as this field does have some very interesting ground rules, especially along that third baseline.
It's very odd down here. I'll have to say it's obviously it's a little bit different because, you know, I grew up in this town. I mean, I still live here, but it's you know, this is my alma mater, so I know pretty much every in and out about this field. And there's not a lot of fields I've seen that have been more unique and interesting than this one. But a very good crowd on hand for today's game, as we've got the number 8 batter, Theo Caladros, set with nobody out and a runner on third. And it'll be Aaron Pilla in the on-deck circle for the Green Wave. That one is low. 1 ball, no strikes. And again, that Audubon dugout just still firing up. Not only that, but because this is a varsity-only tournament, you also have both teams' JV squads in the dugout as well. So really packed house on both sides. Runs up and away.
You mentioned it earlier, but those dugout v. dugout games end up being some of the best ones you'll see. They end up going into those 7th inning unbelievable finishes or even extra innings, and it makes for a really great show when you have both those dugouts as loud as they can be, firing up their guys and supporting the teams.
It's good until you get so deep into a game that both teams just get tired and bored, like the Audubon West Deptford game we had back in 2022 that went 12 innings. That's a strike called. 3-1. Audubon 2-1. Paul VI 2-3. Bookending their stretch with wins. As the 3-1 is upstairs, and that's a walk. That is 4 walks for Trent Ferrara here in the first 2 innings of the game for the Rowan commit. And again, this is exactly what Audubon wants. They are menacing, they are intimidating, and now you've got the top of the order batting, or pardon, the number 9 batter, and then the top of the order with Aaron Pilla. And PVI does look like they're getting an arm ready, although he is obscured behind the green fence, so I do not know who is throwing. But we'll find out one way or another, or at least when he takes the mound. First pitch, Pilla takes a strike. Not to mention the fact that now 2 of the 3 batters that Ferrara has faced are lefties in Paxos and now Pilla. You're dealing with definitely a different situation than what you might normally have, where if you're a lefty, you might usually face a lineup of mostly right-handers. Runner goes, swing and a miss. Runner will get down to second uncontested, sliding or diving in. Not even either of those. Caladros gets in there safely though, and it's 0-2. But 2 runners in scoring position, nobody out. You can't really waste this opportunity. You've got a gift right in front of you at the top of the lineup. Would like to see 1 run come home here in this at-bat, and if not, Schofield should drive home 1. That one's upstairs.
Well, Pilla is a speedy guy. If he puts the ball in play, I would not be shocked to see, I wouldn't say a bunt, but even a little dribbler somewhere in the infield. Pilla could beat that out at first.
Yeah, he's got some speed. Wide receiver for the football team. He'll step out. That's the good thing about Group 1 athletics. You know, you see so many multi-sport athletes in this lineup. As here's the 1-2. Outside. Yeah, Cotter, Pilla, football players. Not to mention Connor Chester, who is injured, a basketball player for Audubon, strong forward for them. Saw him have some playoff heroics versus Woodbury in the first round. And there's a swing and a miss. So the 9-hitter goes down on strikes, and Ferrara picks up a big K that time as we turn the lineup card back over for the Highland transfer in Cade Schofield. Uncommitted shortstop. One of the things I like about Cade Schofield, he's got such a quick step, especially defensively. He's got also a very compact swing. Somebody where he, packs a lot of punch, even though he's not the tallest or strongest guy on the team. He definitely has some sneaky pop. That one's low. Wouldn't be surprised if he picks up a couple long balls this season in this very home run heavy environment. But in his sophomore year, when he transferred from Highland, it allowed Tyler Wiltsey, who was a senior last year, to go into his preferred position, which was center field. There's a swing and a miss, 1-1. Wiltsey, for as long as I had been covering games at Audubon, was at shortstop every single day because it's a lot harder to find a very good defensive shortstop than it is to find somebody who can play center field. You can train a center fielder a lot easier than you can a shortstop because that's a prime position. But when Schofield came over, that kind of lifted a heavy burden off of Audubon's shoulders and allowed Wiltsey for the majority of his senior year to play center field. And he's now getting some at-bats over at Rutgers as a true freshman. They just had a 14-inning gauntlet last night versus the number 1 team in the country, UCLA. 2 balls, 1 strike to Schofield. You can see that front foot's a little flared out, and then he brings it back in. But the thing that I like about Schofield's swing, it reminds me a little bit of Ricky Weeks, somebody who can lower that elbow inside and then bring the bat down through the middle of the swing. He doesn't hold it that high, but he's able to make a really clean motion with it, and he's also super quick out of the box. That one is flared, right field. That one's going to be foul. Either that or a little bit of, what's his face? A little bit of, I don't know why I'm blanking on the name. A little bit of Rafael Furcal in the swing. I don't like to make MLB comps too often, but I mostly make it for the sake of mechanics, not for the sake of talent. Because scouts make the comparison to MLB players for the sake of talent. I do it for the sake of how I think their swing or how their motion looks like. 2-2. Up and away. Schofield works the count full.
This is very dangerous territory here for Ferreira. You got to be very careful with Schofield, a guy who could pull it or take it the other way. If this ball gets put in play here, one run is certainly coming across for Audubon.
As long as he puts it in play and as long as he puts it in probably deep infield, outfield at least. Probably should score if he puts it on the ground too, but the infield is in. It doesn't matter. Ball 4. So Schofield picks up the free pass. That's now 5 walks by Trent Ferrara. You'll have to wonder how much longer Nick Gruber, the first-year head coach, is going to hold this leash. Again, the head assistant on Paul VI took over for DM Phillips after 3 seasons. Was fairly successful, although they did not get higher than an 8 seed in the South Jersey non-public A. Although, to be fair, NPA is such a tough division to compete in because you have guys like Red Bank Catholic, Christian Brothers Academy, Pingree, Union Catholic, and St. Augustine, who always make a bang. And when we talk about Gloucester Catholic and Bishop Eustace, they both compete in non-public B, which is a much different animal. As the 1-0 to Filippi is low, I can't see Filippi swinging the bat in this at-bat more than once or twice. I think he's waiting for the pitch to swing at, because he's going to be good for plate discipline. He already walked in this game. And when you have a vulnerable pitcher right now like Ferrara, who's got 5 walks, I can't see him really swinging the bat here. Not even a whisper. It's 3-0.
The 7th ball Filippi has taken, his first at bat being a 4-pitch walk, and on pace for that here. That can't happen if you're PVI when you have a bullpen that's been somewhat shaky to start the season.
3 balls, no strikes, bases loaded. Ferrara. Strike called. One away as Pilla struck out. But 3 walks in the inning after 2 given up in the first. Audubon still searching for their first hit. Ducks down, ball 4. And the run scores. It's 2-0 Audubon. I mean, this is rough. I mean, no offense to Ferrara, and I think that he'll get retooled a little bit at Rowan, but this is not the start that you wanted as Nick Gruber is coming out. He'll talk to him. He's at 65 pitches already in the first inning and 1/3. And there was a right-hander warming up. That'll be all for Trent Ferrara, so he will come out of the game, and a right-hander will come in his place. We'll introduce him when we come back after the break. Audubon 2, PVI 0.
May is Mental Health Awareness Month. It is the responsibility of all of us to make sure that our friends, family, and anybody who we hold dear in our lives is feeling well. The problem with spotting mental health issues is that the symptoms aren't that obvious. Just because someone is okay or appears okay on the outside doesn't mean that they're okay on the inside. It's important that if they are in distress, that they call the right people and they get the help that they need. And it is very important that we treat each other with respect, regardless of who you are or where you come from. But it is just as important that we treat ourselves with respect, regardless of the situation going on in our lives. If you're in distress, you can call this number, 988, or you can visit any of these websites if you're not in distress, but would like to learn more information about mental health awareness and research.
Will Howell on the mound for Paul VI, the transfer from Holy Cross. He's got a 3.94 ERA. He's actually 18 years and 5 months old, so that would make him 2007. He's got a 3.94 ERA this season, 5 1/3 innings, 4 walks, 6 Ks. In his career across 2 schools, 63 innings, 62 Ks, and a 2.22 ERA.
Well, I'll take you back to that game last year Audubon played against PVI. He pitched all 7 innings, over 100 pitches in the 3-2 victory.
And that was at Paul VI, if I recall. There's a strike called. 1-1. Again, in the first game of the day, Bishop Eustis took care of Ocean City in 5 innings by a score of, 11-1. That one's low. Somebody must have dropped some bread in the outfield, because you can see a whole lot of birds out in center field. They're nipping at something. I can't tell what they are, but somebody must have had like sunflower seeds in their back pocket, and the birds are eating the seeds. Look at them. Look at right field. It's like 10 birds on the ground. They're just having their lunch.
Well, we are in Audubon.
Home of John James Audubon. Or not the home, he was from England, but this is who it's named after. Named after, which is why Audubon was called the Parrots when they first opened the school in 1929. Or when they first started fielding athletics in 1929. They were called the Parrots. That one's out, 3-2. They only became the Green Wave in 1932. When a newspaper article described the Audubon football team as a, quote, green wave of offense in a game where they defeated Haddon Heights, and the name stuck. They are now one of 3 teams in New Jersey to have the moniker Green Wave. Strike 3 called, outside corner. That'll be the second out of the inning. Broglie goes down on strikes for the second time, and Howell picks up the strikeout in kind of stop-the-bleeding fashion for Paul VI, and Bozarth will be the batter. He drove in a run on an error in the first. But yeah, Audubon named after John James Audubon, the famous naturalist. But yeah, a lot of people don't know that Audubon used to be called the Parrots before they were named the Green Wave. A swing and a miss, 0-2. But the 2 other schools that are called the Green Wave make a lot more sense because they're closer to the ocean where there are waves. Del Barton and Long Branch. That's why I've always wanted to see Audubon and Long Branch play, so it can be Green Wave versus Green Wave. No balls, 2 strikes. Fouled back.
Long Branch, home of Bruce Springsteen?
I feel like that's anywhere in Jersey.
Anywhere?
Well, I think Springsteen is Asbury Park. From his 1973 album of the same name, Greetings from Asbury Park. No balls, 2 strikes. To Bozarth. Pokes it. Right field line. It'll go foul. For Paul VI in the top of the third, down 2-0, they will bat 7, 8, and 9. Or, pardon, 8, 9, and 1. Mission, Martine, and Laro. Gavin, you were right. He was born in Long Branch. But I think he grew up in Asbury Park.
What is Bruce Springsteen for 500?
There's a ground ball over the middle. That'll be a base hit in the center field. Myers picks it up on a hop. 1 run is in. Throw to the plate is on the money. There's your 500. He throws him out at home. Mason Myers cuts down to second run. Audubon has their first hit, and it comes on an RBI by Chase Bozarth. But Mason Myers puts an end to the rally as they make it Audubon 3, Paul VI 0. And they are now going to home plate to talk about this because, oh no, it's not about it. We've got a man down. I thought that the umpires were discussing whether he was safe or out. But we do have a player injured at home plate. So that would be, that would be Schofield. because Caladros came in to score. Schofield was tagged out, and he's laying down. We'll take a look at this replay real quick of the throw. Your instant replay presented by Harper Driving School. Schofield is standing, and he's walking off the field. But you can see Myers just picked this up on a perfect hop. What a crow hop to the plate. Definitely got him there. I'm trying to see what could have happened here. Might have just gotten a bad tag of some kind, but we'll go to a quick break. Audubon 3, PVI 0. Top of the third inning. This broadcast is brought to you by our friends over at Harper Driving School. Over 90% of students who take their New Jersey State driving test with Harper pass on the first attempt. Book an appointment today at Suite 4 of the Total Turf Complex in Pittman, 614 Lambs Road. I'm Dan Wilkins along with Gavin Van Rel, formerly of Audubon High School, now of Rutgers Camden, as we've got an 0-1 count here, 8-9-1 for PVI to open up the top of the third. It'll be Brock Mission, left fielder. Strike is called.
I'd really like to see Paxos maintain some control here that we may have seen issues in the past with as he gets into deeper innings, but
I feel like he was a lot better today than he was versus Clearview last week, at least so far.
Certainly seems like the rust has been shaken off.
Absolutely. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Mission. Line drive. Out to short. Schofield is there. On the run, he got him. Mission out 6-3. First out of the inning.
I think it's safe to say that Schofield is all right after that.
I very much think he's okay.
Because that is by no means an easy play.
No, not at all. I mean, that's a very difficult play to make, and if you're able to do it right, it's going to be great for you. There's a strike called. Kind of a Wiltsy-esque play, if you will, but 0-1. Later this week on DWB, like we said, we'll have the consolation and championship of this tournament on Sunday. On Monday, we'll have BCSL action between the Burlington Township Falcons and the Northern Burlington Greyhounds, the Group 3 state champions of BCSL Liberty plays. There's a swing and a miss. It'll be 1-2. And then on Wednesday, our game is still up in the air because the game we originally had scheduled was postponed. So we are going to figure it out. We had Paul VI at Cherry Hill West, as that's strike 3 looking. But I was told by Nick Gruber that that game was postponed because Paul VI will be on senior trip. And with a senior-heavy team, probably not a good idea to play seniorless division games, especially when it matters, you know?
It's a very late scheduled senior trip.
It's got to be hot in Florida this time of year. 0-1. And then I'm going to be leaving for Virginia on Thursday. So no games Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And we'll have Division III junior college softball on Sunday between Northampton and Rowan College. First pitch at 12 noon. from Sewell. Here's the 1-1. We swing and a miss. I think I'm going to catch Clemson and Virginia on Thursday night, some ACC baseball. The concert that I'm going to on Thursday night doesn't start until 10, so I could probably get a 6 o'clock baseball game in time, maybe. Ground ball out to the mound. Paxos' throw is wide. You were just talking about putting extra on it. The right fielder's going to put his hands up, and that will be 2 bases for Myers. You put that ball in play, or pardon, for Martine, who put that ball in play, and it's going to be a throwing error on the pitcher. So 2 bases there.
Yeah, we just spoke about it.
You said it exactly right. If you just put a little bit extra on it, that's going to be out of play, and that's 2 bases.
Saw it happen a few times in previous years with the shortstop Tyler Wiltsey, where he's a guy who can make a crazy athletic play, and then if you just put a little extra on it to try and beat the runner, you're not sure where that ball's going, and it could be over the fence.
Gabe Laro, the batter, back at the top of the order with 2 outs. 1-0. That one is low. Audubon 3, Paul VI 0. Only 1 hit for the Green Wave. They scored their first 2 runs before recording a hit as the starter Trent Ferrara, who is committed to Rowan, gave up 6 walks. And Bozarth run that he drove in was on an E9. Now that's what I have scored. The official scorebook could say differently, but I don't really see a world where that's not an error in right field on that play in the first inning, with it being ordinary effort and it popping out of the glove of Santino Ventrilo.
Well, the fun thing about high school scoring is it essentially comes down to the home team, and if Audubon wants to give that a hit to boost the stats of Chase Bozarth, they certainly could if they scored it like that.
I don't know if Audubon's one of those teams that would do that, though. I feel like they are a lot more integral to the being correct. I have said, and even though this will never happen, I have said that parents who score a game or coaches who score a game that counts officially in high school should go through a training course before they're allowed to score on what an error or a hit is. But maybe that's just me being stubborn. It's ball 4 to Laro. He'll put a runner on, 2 on with 2 away. And it'll bring up the Coastal Carolina commit Mason Myers in his senior year before he heads down to Conway, South Carolina. I believe that the Chanticleers are still ranked in Division I. Here's Mason Myers. You can hear that outfield communication there between Bozarth and Billa about the placement of this, because Myers, left-handed hitter, wind blowing out. They're definitely going to they want to be on the double when it comes to getting that first step, getting in the right motion, and if he gets one in the gap, going to try to take away extra bases. That one is low. 1 ball, 1 strike.
If you're Paxos, this is exactly where you don't want to be. He's a pitcher that relies on momentum, and after giving up the walk just there and now having their PVI's star batter, who in this exact situation in last year's game hit a home run, a 3-run home run, you don't want to be here.
Well, that was at the very hitter-friendly Paul VI. I mean, I talk about Audubon being hitter-friendly. Paul VI is about 10 times more hitter-friendly. You've got that massive fence in center field, but that also is because it backs up to Sadler's Woods, which is a federally protected woodland. So you can't build the fence past there, and it goes only to about 315, and you really can't back up the field because there's concrete and there's the football field for Paul VI. So they just have to build the field as best they can. 2 balls, 1 strike to Mason Myers. That one gets away. Both runners are going to advance. Laro gets to second. The pinch runner for Martine, number 5, Anthony Sasala, will get to third.
And while we're on the topic of that PVI field, instead of having some broadcasters in the outfield, you get goats.
Yes. Is that a thing that happens?
Yeah, they have
I mean, I know that Sadler's Woods has the thing where they have the goats come in and they eat all the ivy and the leaves.
The goats congregate around that fence.
Interesting.
Maybe they like baseball.
It's very true. They congregate in Hartford, Connecticut as the yard goats.
They also congregate at Barry Bonds' house.
I'm not going to get in that conversation. That is for an episode of South Jersey Starting 9 to be named later. Home plate umpire went over to the Paul VI dugout while we were chatting it up. Looks like they are resuming without issue. I'm not sure what the delay was, but hard to hear from out here in right center, although no problem here in the dugouts. Paxos, the 3-1, 2 runners in scoring position. Myers on the ground foul over the Paul VI dugout. Out of play, and it's 3-2. I mean, the big thing here, Audubon's trying to get out of the biggest jam they've had all day. Paul VI really, as you said, is going to try to feed off of Paxos' momentum or lack thereof. He had a great start to this inning, and he's going to walk to get the bases loaded for Nick Shear. Second walk allowed by the sophomore right-hander.
You'd almost wonder if that was the best available option there if you can't get an out. A very dangerous hitter in Myers, and to put him on base and almost what wouldn't matter. You want to keep those third and second base runners from scoring so the game stays in Audubon's favor. I would have to assume he's not upset about that walk.
It's one of those things where, you know, the pitching coach is coming out to talk to him now along with his catcher Lougheed, but it's better to walk that one guy with first base unoccupied, and it's better to move him. You know, the runners are already on second and third. They're not going to go back. You just kind of have to make the best situation of it as it is, and if Shear puts the ball on the ground with 2 outs, just let that infield defend it and let the defense do their job. Because Paxos, with only 2 strikeouts in this game so far, hasn't been a high-volume strikeout pitcher. There's a foul ball just down the left field line. It'll be 0-1 to Shear. Audubon will bat 5, 6, and 7 in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Leading off with Lougheed. Strike call, 1-1. 0-2, excuse me. Paxos, bases loaded. Looking to get out of the traffic jam. He outside. Missed the plate by about 6 inches to a foot there. I think if he tries to level that in, that could be a really good pitch. And he gets a swing and a miss. Exactly. The inning is over as Evan Paxos steps up at a big spot, strikes him out with the bases loaded, and the Green Wave still lead by 3 going to the bottom of the 3rd here in Audubon. Welcome back here on Dan Wilkins Broadcasting. Some final scores from around South Jersey. Kingsway beat Delsea 9-7. Kingsway got some early scoring going. GCIT run-ruled Nottingham 14-4. See what else we got going on here. Woodstown and Haddon Township has 11 a.m. start, but doesn't look like they've put in the score yet. First pitch was a strike to Lougheed. Another called strike going to. Vineland took care of Washington Township. Wow, 18-2. Vineland now 7-2 on the season. And in the Mid-Atlantic Baseball Challenge, Don Bosco Prep beat St. Augustine 11-1. So they'll advance to the finals out of their North bracket, and they'll face Gloucester Catholic. So 3-pitch strikeout for Howell versus Lougheed. And the batter will be Cotter. Fouls that one off, 0-1. Yeah, some other games going on later today. Seneca will face Princeton Day. Rancocas Valley will face Hopewell Valley. And Bridgewater Raritan will visit Clearview. I wanted to see Bridgewater Raritan at some point this year, but just a little bit far-fetched for us to get up there. An hour-and-a-half drive up to just outside of New Brunswick in central Jersey. 1-1. Swing and a miss that time. 1-2. As we said in the first game, Bishop Eustace beat Ocean City 11-1. An 8-run fourth inning by Bishop Eustace highlighted the day. And there's a swing and a miss. Back-to-back Ks for Will Howell. He's settling in. And there's 2 down here in the bottom of the third. Batter will be Paxos. He walked to start that rally that the Green Wave had in the bottom of the second. And that's the third strikeout for Howell. So Paxos 0 for 0 with a walk. He'll take a strike on the inside corner. Howell's really dotting the strike zone right now. And I think that's what PVI wanted. This is the best case scenario for them. Ferrara had his time, he had his day, but the damage wasn't terrible, and it's not something that PVI can't come back from. And as a second point as well, Will Howell's now acting as this innings eater, somebody who can really shut Audubon down. Here's a ground ball. It'll go right to Howell, flips it underhand to first, and the inning is over. 2 strikeouts and a weak ground ball in the frame for the Green Wave. We're through 3. Audubon 3, PVI 0.
Book Dog Pro Wrestling for your next event or outing for the greatest action that New Jersey Pro Wrestling has to offer. Any place, any time, any setting, Dog Pro Wrestling will bring the action to you, and you won't want to miss it for moments like this. But don't just take it from me. Take it from Max Mundo, the Dog Pro Wrestling ambassador.
This is Max Mundo with Dog Pro Wrestling. Are you a civic organization, sporting club looking to fundraise? Then look no further to Dog Pro Wrestling. We do grand openings, corporate events, and much more.
And why not from some of the wrestling talent themselves?
I'm Vinny the Fixer, and I'm the champion of Dog Professional Wrestling. If you want to book the best, come see us. We're the cream of the crop. We'll come to any fundraiser you can think of. Just name the place and we'll show up.
This is the upstanding Dylan Mesh, and for the entirety of my professional wrestling career, dog wrestling has been a mainstay for where I like to wrestle. So you can believe me when I say that it is quality. And I'm upstanding. I'm the only opinion you need.
Yeah! It's your boy Gabriel Hodder here with my man
First pitch is hit well out to left center field. Filippi going back. This ball's going to land in front of Filippi. Pilla can't grab it. This is going to be extra bases going to third. No, he's going to stop there. It's going to be a leadoff double on the first pitch. The ball was rocketed off the bat of Gabe Rogers, and he's got a leadoff double. Ball was smoked off the bat, and that's one thing that's deceptive about this ballpark. You would think with how hitter-friendly it is that balls would get out, but look at where left center field is. Look at our camera here. There is an upward slope that's in play. You kind of have your mini Towels Hill. So these outfielders, they actually have to physically go up a hill to grab a ball in left center field. That's difficult. But Rogers conquers the gap and gets a leadoff double. Batter now is Santino Vitruello. He had that strikeout, throw-out double play earlier in the game, so he has not had the best of luck. He had the error in right field and then was the victim of the strikeout, throw-out double play. He's going to look to change his fortunes in at-bat number 2. He's got a 1-1 count. Paxos, the 1-1 from the stretch. That one misses inside. Lougheed takes it.
Well, Paxos has got to keep his confidence up here, because if we see him fall behind and let up one run, that could really spiral out of control here as we get into the later innings and pitches for Paxos.
Paxos is at 53 pitches. Paul VI reliever Will Howell is at 20 through an inning and a third. Strike called. 2 balls, 2 strikes, nobody out.
Although, to counter what I just said, situations like this are what will make a young pitcher like Paxos grizzled and stronger as he gets into his later years.
It's really going to toughen him up, that's for sure. That one is inside. That's why I almost say this is a blessing in disguise, in the sense that, yes, it's not good to be in this situation, but it's also good because you're a sophomore. This is early in the season. What happens in 2028 when he has to pitch in a sectional final and he's got to think back to moments like this to where he was tough and faced adversity? That one gets away. They will not say the batter swung, but the runner does get down to third. So Rogers advances. Vitruello walks. And I think Audubon was going to try to argue that he did go around, but there wasn't any appeal either. Caden Conway the batter now for Paul VI. So a double and a walk. Paxos dealing with some traffic here in the top of the third. I'm Dan Wilkins, or rather top of the fourth. I'm Dan Wilkins along with Gavin Van Rel of Rutgers Camden on the call this afternoon. Both of us Audubon alums. You were one year behind me, so throw back to third. Not in time. Although, how many years do I have to be removed from Audubon to get into UNC status?
Oh, 1.
1? Okay.
I think we're both there.
So that's a stunning accusation right there.
I do think we're both there.
Well, you might not be.
I don't know. I see my former peers walking by me, and you get the look.
First pitch to Conway is going to hit him, and the bases are loaded. A double, a walk, and a hit by pitch, and the Eagles mean business here in the top of the fourth inning. Rogers, he smoked that ball to the left center gap, and I had a feeling that was going to entail trouble. As the batter will now be Caleb Cassikert. Audubon's pitching coach will come out. And the whole infield will come in as well. So they'll break from the mound, and Cassikert will be the batter. Bases loaded, nobody out. And we thought Audubon having bases loaded and nobody out was dangerous, but now you've got a lead, and one swing can take it away from you. And even if it's not a grand slam, you can get 3 runs on a double in the gap. Some of these guys are speedy out there. If you can split Filippi and Pilla or Pilla and Bozarth, make them run for a while because that outfield is wider than you think it is. Throw back to third. Not in time.
I'm almost shocked to see Audubon employ that pickoff there to third.
They've done that a few times.
I think just in most cases the dangers outweigh the rewards. With no outs here, if that ball gets away and it's out of play, both runs will score.
Oh, that hit him. Paul VI with a run home. So 1 hit, 1 walk, and 2 hit by pitches, and Paul VI is on the board. It's 3-1 Audubon. So how about that bases loaded plunk from Cassakert? And it scores Rogers. So the batter will be Brock Mission. And his mission will be to give Paul VI the lead or at least tie the game. He's going to float this one to center field. Pilla took a bad step. He's going back. He stumbled, but he made the catch. Stayed on his feet. It'll be a sac fly. And it's 3-2. That was just a well-struck ball to center field that time, and it ends up scoring Vitriello. Not a whole lot you can do there, except I'm sure Pilla's glad that he took a step forward at first, and I immediately was like, no, he's got to take that step back. And he ended up doing that, but he almost tripped over his feet that time.
Well, also, if you're in center field, that sun is beaming. It gets a little rougher with no leaves on the trees. Thankfully, it's midday, and the trees are starting to gain leaves, but early in the season, you can have a really rough time seeing that ball out in right field and center field.
Well, 1 away, and Paul VI puts up their second run as a bunt fouled by Martin. And it's 0-1. As we said, next week on Monday, we'll have Burlington Township and Northern Burlington, 3:45 first pitch, and then on Wednesday, we'll figure out where we're going. We'll let you know on our Twitter/X and Instagram at DW Broadcasting. Up over 5,500 followers on DWB Instagram. And I think we hit 5,000 like in something like early February. I'd have to see when we hit 5,000 because we're making some moves, people. 0-1. Here comes a bunt. That's in front of the mound. Paxos has it. He'll have a play. The throw is high. It is not in time. A bunt base hit, and the bases are loaded for Paul VI as Cole Martin, the 9-hitter, getting the job done. He's now 2 for 2, and how rare is that? Catcher dropping down a bunt, and now he's got the bases loaded. I mean, that very well could have been a sacrifice, but PVI, they got their best wish that time, and now the bags are loaded for Caballero.
And with 2 outs to work with, this is certainly a bad situation. Audubon still has nobody working in that bullpen.
This one's hit out to second base. Broglie slips, run scores. Here comes another. PVI has the lead. What a weird play. They're going to say that ball hit the ground. So that was not a catch by Broglie. I mean, it was like a circus act. It popped out of his glove. It went right into his hand. And PVI heads up base running. They score 2. And that's going to be a fielding error on Broglie. And it's now 4-3, Paul VI. So Mason Myers, the Coastal Carolina commit, will bat now with 2 on and 1 away, 4 runs home for the Eagles. First pitch from Paxos is a ground ball. That was weird. The runner almost touched the ball, and he's safe. Nobody covered the bag. Let's take a look at this replay here on the play that got 2 runs home. So let's watch it again here. Paxos, if we can get a look at it. Broglie, it looks like the ball hit the ground, and then he bobbles it, catches it on his bare hand, has a throw, and then look at nobody's covering third. So he was able to come all the way home on that. And just what a weird play. And then Myers, I don't know what was going on that play. But Evan Paxos is going to come out of the game. And we are going to have a pitching change for the Green Wave. So A right-hander in. He replaces the sophomore right-hander as Paul VI storms all the way back, stormed by that 2-run error on Matt Brogley. We go to with 1 away in the top of the 4th. PVI 4, Audubon 3 right after the break. Welcome back. Chase Bozarth, the commit to Eastern University, is on the mound for Audubon. He replaces Evan Paxos, who gave up those 4 runs. Not all of them were earned, but we come back with 1 away, and the bases are loaded as Myers got the infield single. This is now the 8th batter of the inning. No, it is the 9th batter in Shear. Bozarth, fastball high, 2-0.
Well, this is something I'd be worried to see for Bozarth, having no warm-up outside of those first couple pitches he threw in the intermission. He's coming straight from right field, and as somebody who's suffered from control issues in the past, I'm very interested to see if he can find the zone here.
Oh, that hit him. Well, the control issues will matriculate from one pitcher to the other, and a hit by pitch drives in a run for PVI. It's now 5-3. So any goodwill that Audubon had in the first few innings of this game is now wiped away. And they will now bat around. So we had the 2-run error, or we had the infield single for Myers. Before that, we had the 2-run E4 on Brogley. And everybody's just been station to station. And PVI with a 5-run inning.
As you mentioned it earlier in the broadcast, Dan, Audubon is a small school who has people who play multiple sports, but what that also means is you don't have as much depth as a team like PVI. They've only had 5 pitchers who've pitched on the year, and then you have to pull a guy like Bozarth out of right field who doesn't have that time to warm up as a pitcher. This is something you'll see happen maybe a couple more times for Audubon, where you have to take some guys out of the lineup who aren't ready to pitch.
It also doesn't help that Audubon last year had a 13-player senior class. That definitely didn't help, as that one's up and away. It's 3-0. Audubon's woes continue. Number 3, Jed Owens, is in right field for the Green Wave, substituting for Bozarth, so Paxos will not re-enter the game. Although he can re-enter once. Oh no, he's at first base. He is at first base. My apologies. So the way that worked was that Joey Waller, who was defense only at first base, now is out, and Paxos is in at first. 3 balls, 1 strike. Bozarth with the bases loaded. Paul VI trying to keep the merry-go-round going in a five-run inning. Bozarth, the 3-1. Ball 4. 6 runs. And the fact that Paul VI had 3 hits in the entire inning, and Rogers now drives in a run. I mean, this is just wild to go from 3 scoreless innings where Evan Paxos was doing fine to now having whatever this is has been a huge shift for the Green Wave, and it hasn't been for the better. Upstairs to Vitruello. He walked. So Audubon, 1-2-3 first inning, 1 single in the second, 1 error and 2 walks in the third. So the bases were loaded. You could kind of see the writing on the wall maybe. And now 3 hits, 2 walks, and 3 hit by pitches. I mean, Bozarth's just got to settle down. I mean, yeah, he kind of got thrown into this game. I don't think he was expecting Paxos to falter like this. That one's outside. 2 balls, 1 strike. But if Audubon can storm back on the offensive side, this could be a very entertaining game. This will be the 12th pitch so far for Bozarth in his relief appearance. Swing and a foul tip by Vitruello. It'll be Caden Conway in the on-deck circle after this. But unless there's a double play, he'll bat.
Well, Dan, if you exclude those 3 runs Audubon got, so far, this last half inning has been very reminiscent of Audubon's game against Haddon Heights last year, where they lost 11-1, as both Bozarth and Paxos would pitch alongside Lance Furness, and walks and hit by pitches were the name of the game for Audubon as they would fall.
3 balls, 2 strikes, 1 away. Check swing, he got him. So Bozarth gets a sigh of relief. He retires Vitruello, and the new batter will be Dom DeJalianardo. So he will bat in place of Caden Conway. Okay, so it is Conway. My apologies. Strike called. I think there was a miscommunication somewhere. 0-1. Throwback to second. He got him. Or no, he did not. Excuse me. I don't know why I said that. Umpire called safe, and I said, yeah, he got him. No, he didn't. Okay, my apologies. So DeJalianardo was the last batter, not Conway. We did hear from Nick Gruber that he could play in this game, and he most likely will, as that's a pop-up right back to Bozarth. He'll drop the baseball, and the inning is over. But Paul VI storms back for 6 runs and 12 batters. Audubon will need a response in the bottom of the 4th, 6-3. Bottom of the fourth inning, Audubon trails Paul VI 6-3. As Paul VI stormed back for 6 runs in the inning. Their first offense of the day, and it took 12 batters as a strike called. 8-9-1, Caladros, Pilla, and Schofield. And we did say Schofield is staying in the game after an injury he sustained in the third. Actually, in the second inning. So it's 1-2 to Caladros, the DH. Normally a catcher for the Green Wave, but not today. Ben Lougheed behind the dish. Skied, right field line, going over. This could be in play. Look out, that's going to go out of play. And it hit the DWB mobile. Just hit the backside, though, not anything important. Clipped off the license plate.
Well, Dan, I've seen enough balls hit cars here, so I parked at least 2 blocks away.
Here's a fly ball, right center field. That's going to drop. It's going to split the gap. This one's going to go all the way to the wall. They'll bang off the wall. Myers with a cannon throw down to second base. It's cut off. That'll be a leadoff double for Theo Caladros. And that will send a leadoff runner into scoring position as Audubon, after giving up a cardinal sin of an inning with 6 runs, they're going to look to get right back into the swing of things here in the bottom of the fourth.
It's a nice piece of hitting there to go the other way into the gap. Theo Caladros is a first-year varsity starter. He made the team last year, but obviously Audubon had that loaded stack of seniors and did not get any time behind the dish. Looking to make the most of it here in his last year.
Up and out to Pilla. Pilla struck out swinging his first time. Pilla, as we said, a multi-sport athlete for Audubon. Football in the fall, although we're seeing a lot of Audubon athletes do indoor track as well in the winter. You know, to get them quicker, to get them a little bit more agile. You know, it's something where they might not be known as a track star, but they have the physical ability to be able to do it well, which, you know, I applaud them for. Here's a 2-0. Strike called inside corner. We'll go back to the top of the lineup after this batter with Cade Schofield. But from the beautiful Hank Greenberg Field.
Even more so than that, on a beautiful day. I'm sunburnt, Dan. I think we got to a UV of 7 today.
I might be too. It toughens us all up, you know. That's why I'm not a doctor. 2-1. Swinging a foul tip. I am proud to announce that we will be bringing back our stadium series to MLB The Show 26. Back a few years ago, we created over 20 stadiums in South Jersey that were publicly downloadable on MLB The Show. We did that back in 2023. We have a whole bunch loaded up in the vault that were never released, so we're going to release them for the show 26, including Audubon, and unfortunately unable to get Paul VI because it's only 315 to center field and it needs to be 350 in the game. So I can't cheat to make it realistic. There's a ground ball. Slow tapper back to the mound for Howell. He'll pick it up. I can tell you some of the ones that are in there, though, is Bishop Eustace is one of them. I actually was able to make Gloucester Catholic Stadium. It actually took me over 4 hours to make Gloucester Catholic Stadium because it was so wild to make, and I did have to do some creative liberties to do it. But believe some other ones that are around. Clearview, Delran is one, I believe, and I'm trying to think of the other ones that we did. Pretty sure that Woodstown was one we were able to do. Washington Township, Williamstown, handful of those. I don't remember the full list off the top of my head, but we are going to unleash the vault for MLB The Show 26. Strike called.
Did you get the church in left field for Gloucester Catholic?
I did, and I got the playground in center field too. It's just not in play. But I made the fences in the outfield 2 feet tall, so it might as well be might as well be non-existent.
Well, if anyone's ever played at that field, you'll know.
And to be clear, you can't. MLB The Show does not let me use most of these fields in Diamond Dynasty because the dimensions aren't right. So it is what it is. 2-1 though. People loved it when we did it a few years ago though, so we thought we might as well bring it back. As whoa, Schofield took that one up and in, and then stumbled at the plate. It's 3-1. If we were to make Paul VI field though, we would have to recreate the goats as you talked about at Sadler's Woods. But like we said, it's only 315, so you have to make it deeper for it to be able to be played. Here's the 3-1. That one nearly goes to Schofield's head, and it's going to be ball 4. So runners on the corners here with one away. Here's Colin Filippi.
Filippi being the tying run at the plate, he's got power in that swing. If he can connect here with the wind blowing out, we could find something coming up to us at the wall again.
Yeah, Caladros drove a ball out to the right center gap, hit it the other way, got a good slice. If you're just joining us, Paul VI leads Audubon 6-3. As that one missed, 1-0. Audubon led 3-0. Trent Ferrara had a start to forget. He walked 6 batters, was taken out in the second inning. Audubon scored 1 in the first, 2 in the second. And then Paul VI, after a dormant first 3 innings, came back for 6 runs in the fourth. 1 ball, no strikes. Schofield on first, and that one goes inside to Filippi. But Will Howell had a really good relief appearance and now is starting to break down again. And with the top of the order now, this really could be some trouble for PVI, and this could be a back and forth jockey here. Filippi, 3-0. I feel like Colin Filippi's this guy in the Audubon order that's kind of like a, I don't know why I'm blanking on the word. Like a Juan Pierre, somebody who just walks all the time, doesn't swing at all. Either hits singles or he walks, and then he steals bases.
The 2026 Bryce Harper, you could say.
That one's low. I was thinking either that or, I don't know if you remember this name, but it was John Mayberry for the Phillies. He was a huge walk expert. But the bases are loaded.
Maybe a Jonathan VR.
Yes. Led the league in stolen bases in 2013. Had a 50 piece. So mound visit here for PVI. This broadcast is brought to you by our friends over at Rowan College of South Jersey, the premier community college of South Jersey, with over 100 associate's degree programs for you to get your degree at a fraction of the cost. Visit rcsj.edu for academic information, as registration is open for summer 2026 classes. Howell staying in the game here as he faces off against Matt Broglie. After Filippi walked, he now has 3 walks in the game. He's still 0 for 0. That one's low. Broglie took that one low in the dirt. Broglie, however, he's 0 for 2. 2 strikeouts, 1 swinging, 1 looking. (1-0) to Broglie. That one's a strike called, 1-1.
Coming into this game, Broglie was batting .333 with a .70 ERA. I got to wonder if this game gets close, even though he's thrown a lot of innings this year for Audubon. Do you warm him up and maybe toss him in for 2 or 3 batters?
Fly ball, right field foul. Hit somebody in the lawn chair there. If you saw the game last night, we posted a clip of a Williamstown former player who made a barehanded catch on a foul ball. I thought that was pretty fun. One ball, 2 strikes. Up and away. I mean, what's the strategy here for PVI? You've got the bases loaded. You just had all that good fortune your way with a 6-run inning, and now it's one swing away from all going into the dust and all being history. Fly ball, right field. That will go foul down the line. Two and two. Huge spot here for Will Howell. A rather interesting reliever. Like we said, Will Howell is a junior, but he's already 18 years and 5 months old. A transfer from Holy Cross. Fly ball, right field, foul again.
Well, Dan, as I'm seeing these fly balls, I kind of get the feeling that the earlier you get and the further away you park, the better.
This is not the earlier you swing.
I think the cars right now are my biggest concern. More specifically mine, I want to make sure that that's all right.
Well, what I'll say is that with this at-bat here by Broglie, we're seeing that he's late on a lot of these pitches. If he shortens up his swing a little bit, he can drive one to the opposite field or even the center and get a run home. Just like that, base hit to right field. That'll be fair. Picked up, throw to the plate, 1 run in, station to station. Can't tell you I told you so, but it's an RBI single for Matt Broglie, and it's 6-4. I think that's exactly what Rich Horan or whoever was at third base told Matt Broglie, because he had those 2 fastballs where he was very late on the swing and he fouled it in the foul territory. That time on a 2-2, he gets the same pitch, outer half of the plate. He's not going to pull that ball over. If he tries to pull that ball, that's going to be rolled over, and that's going to be either a double play or a force out at the plate. You did the best thing that you could do. You move everybody 90 feet, and you get a run home. Bozarth takes a strike called, 0-1.
Broglie not short of heroics last season as a freshman in that 7th inning against Shalleck in the elimination game of the South Jersey Championship. Broglie came up to bat and delivered that same exact hit.
That was a game where Shalleck won 4-3, ended Audubon's season. As that'll be a strike called, 0-2. That's not the first time this year I've given some sage advice, and then the next pitch he'll do exactly that. But here's Bozarth. Bases loaded, 1 out, 6-4 game. Everybody looking to move up. The 0-2. That's a ground ball. This could be 2. Backhanded throw. It's off the glove. This is going to go into left field. 2 runs will score, and the game is tied. Welcome back, Audubon. 6-6.
Well,
2-run score on a throwing error. It popped out of the glove of Caleb Cassikert, and it hopped into left center field. And it just got enough green grass to give Audubon 2 runs to score, and we're tied up. So Broglie gets all the way to third. Bozarth holds up there.
It's a rough play there from Lero. He's got to make the spinning throw. He does get it. It's just a little offline, and if you're Cassikert, you just got to really try and focus on getting that 1 out, and he looked towards getting the second for 1 at first.
There's a strike called. I'll tell you this, though. Audubon's got to be real happy with what Chase Bozarth is doing at the plate. If those 2 errors that he had were turned into hits, he would have 5 RBIs today. But instead, the first hit, we scored it as an error, and that hit I just scored as an E4. Fly ball right field. But now Audubon, with 1 out, is 90 feet away from taking the lead again. I mean, just such a topsy-turvy game. You really don't know where it's going to go. And that comeback happened so quickly.
But you got to think there's also a lot of pride at stake for Audubon. Audubon's a team who hasn't lost.
Here's a ground ball, past third, past short. Audubon leads. Broglie scores. Bozarth to second, and Ben Lougheed, the youngster, drives in the RBI. It's a 5-run inning for Audubon, 6 for PVI, 5 for Audubon, 11 total runs in the inning. And Lougheed will be run for at first as the catcher. It's an RBI single for the youngster. And the Green Wave lead this one 7-6. What a game this is. After the weirdly off balance game that we had earlier, to have this game be as entertaining as it is. It's really a treat. Howell hits the batter. He hits Cotter. This might be a contender for the longest inning ever because it's bases loaded and that run scores. So how about Paul VI? You score 6 runs in the top of the 4th inning, and then you give them all back. That's unbelievable.
Well, that's more than unbelievable. That's disappointing. Is Howell coming into this inning? He looked untouchable in the 3rd, and now just a total shutdown.
Very surprised that PVI has left him in the game. See the ground ball in the first pitch over the head of the umpire. It's foul. PVI does have a right-hander warming up, again obscured by that green fence. Hard to tell from right center field. We do think, though, we don't know who exactly it could be. It could be Mike Finelli. Inside. And it's just a silencer for PVI's dugout right now. So 6 runs in the 4th. Audubon gets 4 here in the bottom of the 4th to take the lead. Line drive into left center field. Paxos helps his former cause. 2 runs will score. Runner will go to 3rd. Everybody's moving up. Here comes Paxos to 2nd. No throw. The green wave on a tidal wave of offense. It is 9-6, 3-run lead, 2-run single, Evan Paxos.
Well, that's just as good as it gets. He shook off the cobwebs a few days ago with his first hit in his varsity career. This will be his 2nd, and it's at a great time for Audubon, a team who's looking to make it to that Ralph Shaw Championship, a championship they've been in every year for at least the last 5 years. And what more can you ask for as this inning gets even better?
Mound visit here for PVI. They going to leave Howell in the game, or? Well, it looks like Nick Gruber is going to home plate, so I believe they are taking Will Howell out. The transfer from Holy Cross, and we'll see who comes in for him. Yes, new pitcher. It'll be number 27 in Cooper McGovern. We'll take a break. All I can say is, wow. It is a 6-run inning. Both teams have scored 6 runs, and it's 9-6 Audubon. Cooper McGovern, new pitcher for PVI. He comes in here with an ERA of 42. He has has 1/3 of an inning versus Rancocas Valley. That was another wild game that RV won 10-6. He had 2 hits in a third of an inning, though his career ERA is a lot more respectable at 5.44. Ball skips away at the plate. It is held on by by Gold Martin. He's got 9 career innings, 12 walks, 15 Ks. 12 of his 15 strikeouts came during his freshman year when he had a 2.62 ERA. So the southpaw trying to stop the bleeding for a second time.
Well, control is the name of the game here. We saw earlier when Bozarth came in, he walked a few, hit a few, and now kind of seems like McGovern might be having the same issue. 2 very, very balls.
That'll be a strike called. Two balls, 1 strike. Left-hander McGovern. That one is low, and it's stopped by Martin.
Martin doing a great job behind the dish today. He's kept a few. Certainly helped by that backstop of Audubon that kicks the balls back to you.
Except if it hits the padding. If it hits the wood, it's going to skip right back to you, and it might skip back a little too much, I'd say. But Cherry Hill West has a very similar setup. I believe it was done by the same company. Except theirs has padding from edge to edge. Audubon's has exposed wood. That was done in 2022 into 2023, which I've gotten used to it now, but I watch older Audubon games from like 2022, and it's completely different. Like, it used to have a chain link fence up there, and it used to be a lot older. I mean, I remember they did the construction on this my junior year of high school, the early part of my junior year, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is, it's incredible. But now I'm just used to it because it's been like this for so long now. But I remember the old time when it was just that plain chain link fence, and they hadn't redone the bleachers yet. That one's foul. It's 3-2.
The refurbishment has done a lot to this park in the last 3 years to make it look significantly more modern. The bullpen specifically probably had the most rejuvenation to it, as it used to be, for lack of better words, a mud pit.
One away, McGovern facing Caladros, and that hits him. Had a little Trent Banel show of flair as he fires the bat towards his own dugout. He got hit in the back of his ankle, and he's now going to have bases loaded for Aaron Pilla as this barrage by Audubon continues. Audubon now has been hit 4 times in this inning. Caladros started us off with a double. And if you want to count your batters at home, PVI had 12 batters in the top half, and this is now batter number 11 for Audubon in Aaron Pilla. So Paxos at second, Caladros at first, and Cotter at third. Let's do a quick recap for you. Caladros hit a double to the right center gap. Pilla moved him over with a grounder back to the mound. That was the second batter and the first out of the inning. The last 9 hitters have reached on base. The last 8 hitters have reached on base consecutively. Walk, RBI single, 2-run error, RBI single, RBI hit by pitch, 2-run single, and a hit by pitch to Caladros. 8 straight batters on base. McGovern, outside. And I don't even really think that this is anything. I mean, didn't I say in the bottom half that Audubon is going to have to respond after PV? I mean, this is a response and a half right here.
Well, funnier than that, Dan, we are almost 40 minutes removed from when PVI took the lead.
No wonder my feet hurt. I've been standing for so long. 4:04. Game started at 2:10. So we're nearly 2 hours in, and it's the
That was only
bottom
3
of the
outs
fourth.
ago.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. And this inning still only has 1 out in it. The longest 7-inning baseball game that Dan Wilkins Broadcasting has covered was back on April 27th of 2025. It was a Sunday night at Trenton Thunder Ballpark. It was 11-8, and Sayreville beat Matawan at the Trenton Thunder Ballpark. The game went 3 hours and 8 minutes. But because we were inside the heated press box of Trenton Thunder, it really didn't feel like that. They sold concessions that night, and it was just a beautiful game. Lots of offense back and forth. Here's the 3-1. Foul tip. I mean, if PVI walks in another run here, I got to think that the emergency alarm's got to go off in that dugout because they did so much. They worked so hard to get to where they are now with this 6-run top of the 4th inning. And then Audubon literally matched their inning pound for pound with 6 runs. And they have room for more.
Multiple guys heading to PVI's bullpen.
Yeah, there's like at least 2 guys that are walking over there now. I see 3 jerseys. And talk about the emergency alarms. That's a bases loaded walk. It's now 10-6. Pilla reaches on base for the first time today.
Talk about changing tides.
Tides have changed so dramatically, it's a hurricane. Ferrara walked 6 batters in his start, and we thought that was the end of it. We thought that was the extent of what PVI was going to give up because Will Howell came in and everything looked fine. As a strike is called.
Even more interesting, and at this point, I wouldn't put it out of play. If Audubon could find a way to get 6 more runs across, they could end it in the top half of the next frame.
That would be insane if that happened. Swinging a foul tip. 0-2. Fouled back to the screen. The only thing that's crazier is that we talk about the walks. That walk to Pilla was only the 3rd walk that Howell and McGovern have allowed. Because in this inning, there have been, or I should say in this inning, we had the errors, but we've also had 2 hit by pitches and 4 hits for the Green Wave. Here's the 0-2. Swing and a miss. Of all people to go down on strikes in the midst of a wild rally, Cade Schofield goes down. And there's 2 away now for Colin Filippi.
Well,
now, bases loaded, 2 outs. Now I feel like he's got to swing the bat somewhere.
That's a very frustrating at-bat for Schofield there. As you look, you could pile more on with only 1 out, and that's very disappointing.
We'll see what Filippi has in the tank here. He has walked 3 times today. That's kind of been his specialty.
Still yet to take a swing of the bat.
Took a strike that time, though, from McGovern. But 10-6, Audubon with a 7-run inning. Just a wild affair of events here at Hank Greenberg Field. Strike called outside corner, 0-2.
You hear one of the Audubon coaches say, you're going to need a longer at-bat flips.
Especially now that he's behind in the count. He had 2 4-pitch walks out of his 3 so far today, and this one is not as easy. He does take outside, though. It reminds me of there was an at-bat in the 2025 sectional championship. I believe it was Josh Nolan who came up versus Luke Prokrovsky in the 7th inning and was basically instructed not to swing. And he drew a walk. Strike 3 called. And Audubon leaves the bases loaded, but not before a 7-run affair and 13 batters. Let's break down the numbers before we go to break. 25 batters between PVI and Audubon, and a grand total of 13 runs on the board. 6 for PVI, 7 for Audubon. We'll be back after the break, 10-6, Green Wave. First pitch of the 5th out of play. It's 0-1. That hit something. 25 batters across both teams. 12 in the top half, 13 in the bottom half. Both teams batted around, and 13 total runs. 6 for PVI in the top of the 4th, and 7 for Audubon in the bottom of the 4th. And now going into the 5th, Bozar still pitching as a fly ball out to left center field. Filippi is there. He'll make the catch, and there's one away. So maybe a return to normalcy in this frame, perhaps. One away as Cassikert is retired. It'll be Mission now. Swing and a miss. That one misses. Strike called. Got one back that time. It's 1-2. That one's upstairs. Not to mention that inning took about 45 minutes to complete. I can't say I've ever seen something like that before. Remember, Bishop Eustis has locked up their spot in the final with a convincing 11-1 win over Ocean City. Tomorrow looks like it's going to be nearly the exact same weather, 66 degrees. Real feel tomorrow will also be around that. It'll be cold in the morning, but when the game starts, it'll be high 50s. That one's outside. And with the moderately strong wind gusts today, tomorrow it will be a lot calmer with wind at 7 miles an hour at first pitch of game 1. There's a ground ball foul caught by the third base coach for PVI, and it's 3-2. Bozarth with just under 25 pitches. As he'll try to take care of the bottom of the order here. (3-2). Ball 4. So free pass to Brock Mission. He'll reach on base for the first time tonight.
Well, I'll tell you, Dan, the camera doesn't really do it justice, but the amount of people that are here is quite substantial. Behind the dugouts and the bleachers, there's a lot of fans who are with families and watching the bullpen, talking. It's a really nice crowd today.
I think it'll be even better tomorrow. I think one thing as well is that we've had some really cold Ralph Shaws over the years. You know, the parents would still come out and grill, but it would only be like 45, 50 degrees. This is a nice 65-degree day. You know, people are spending their weekend here because it's kind of too early to go to the beach, and it's not warm enough to go to the beach. This is a swing and a miss. 0-2.
A nice scene of alumni here for Audubon and PVI too. I saw Haddon Township head coach Nick Delgazzo on the third base side.
2001 grad of Audubon. And we also saw, as you were gone, but as we were on break, Dan McMaster's here. Head coach of Cherry Hill West, also a Haddonfield resident. Great guy as well, had his kid with him. Started his coaching career at Pittman in 2010 and has built up a legacy at Cherry Hill West at the Tom Trotman Field. There's a swing and a miss by the left-hander, Martine. And there's 2 away now, as we'll go back to the top for Gabe Lero. So Pilla being the commander in the outfield as you can hear very well on our crowd mic. Throw back to first, not in time. That is Evan Paxos controlling first base after Joe Walter came out with the... Once Paxos came out, Walter came out as well, as it'll be Laro, the batter. He's reached base twice. That ball's poked center field. Going to be a tough play. Pilla comes in and he makes the catch. And after the wild fourth inning that it was, the fifth inning finally has some normal baseball aspects under its heels. We go to the bottom of the fifth. It's Audubon 10, PVI 6.
In life, the road ahead is full of possibilities, but to navigate it safely, you need the right skills. Harper Driving School is the premier driving school serving Gloucester, Salem, and Camden counties. With experienced instructors, many of whom are teachers in local schools, we are dedicated to your success and will help you master the road with confidence. With an over 95% success rate of students passing their road test on their first try, you know your student will be in good hands while embarking on a huge step of their young adult lives, all while avoiding the lines at the DMV and getting insurance discounts.
We chose Harper, and so should you.
Bottom of the fifth inning, Audubon looking to pick up where they left off. Big swing and a miss by Broglie, 0-1. Coming up on DWB, tomorrow will be same place, different time. It'll be 12 noon, first pitch for the consolation game between Ocean City and the loser of this game. The 0-1 to Broglie, popped up foul. And then the championship game scheduled for 3 p.m. Should be very fun indeed. We'll have Fred Swartz tomorrow for the championship game. An Audubon grad, Pittman grad, but Audubon's athletic director for 5 years during the Joe Flacco years. And has been a guest commentator for us, longtime voice of Gloucester County College and a former professor at Rowan University. Swing and a miss by Broglie. So one away, and Bozarth will be the batter. As we said, he is responsible for 5 Audubon runs, but he's only going to get credited with 1 RBI because he had the knock to right that was an error, and he had the infield grounder that was also an error, and that scored another 2 runs. And then he scored on one of them. So, again, he's been responsible for 5 Audubon runs in this game. 1 ball, no strikes to Bozarth. Oh. So he's reached base every time in this game. Big swing and a miss by the future Eastern Eagle. It's 1-1. So McGovern's still in the game for PVI, and you got to imagine the one burden of having a topsy-turvy game like this is that you have to run with the same crew tomorrow. As Bozarth, right field, that gets down. This is going to go to the wall, and it's actually going to run past the wall that's sliced in fair territory. It's going to be a ground rule double for Chase Bozarth. And he'll get on here with 1 away. I don't see that often as a ball hit down the right field line and going past where the fence ends, because it doesn't wrap around all the way around the field.
We'll talk about slice. It looks like my golf swing a little bit, the way that ball came off the bat and just kept going. You really don't see it often here because the fence does extend a little bit into that foul territory. But when it does happen, it's usually from a lefty hitter.
Well, just like golf, you have the flags on the foul poles, and I guess where the club cart would be the rough. And we have to call the people attending the Ralph Shaw Classic patrons instead of fans.
They might be selling some pimento cheese sandwiches behind home plate.
Is that really what they sell at the Masters?
Yeah, for $1.50.
Well, that's because you got to pay, $1 million to get in. Meanwhile, a bottle of water at Citizens Bank Park is $7.
I guess it offsets somewhere.
One's fouled off the right field line. I've done it before where I've gone to Citizens Bank Park without buying a single thing. Not a single piece of food. I'll bring in 2 bottles of water, and I'll just be fine. I'll eat before I go to the game.
Well, it's great now.
And I'll take the train in the Philly so I don't have to pay $40 for parking.
They've certainly been more lenient on their rules with food the last few years. You can bring in clear containers.
Outside, that one's going to be passed ball. Nope, Bozarth is going to hold up. It would have been a passed ball if he advanced, but alas, it was not, and it's 3-1.
I brought in Chinese food to the last game.
I don't know why that made me laugh.
Citizens Bank Park.
Was it at least good Chinese food?
It was scallion pancakes. That is my favorite form of Chinese food.
I'm going to have to try that.
That's bread and scallions. That's it. With white rice.
Here's the 2-1. Swinging a foul tip. 2-2. Scallion pancakes.
Also known as Chinese pizza.
Oh, I've had that. Okay, I know what that is. Yeah, I actually do like that. I've never heard it called scallion pancakes. Because I guess you would have them in the shape of pancakes unless you... They have them at the Chinese buffet that I go to. Yeah, I like that. I don't mind it. Actually tastes pretty good. Here's the 2-2. One's up and away. 3 balls, 2 strikes. With the runner on second, Bozarth heading back to the bag. Lougheed at the plate. RBI single. And Jude Cotter, who also has an RBI in the game, will be in the on-deck circle.
Well, I am glad we are at the point of the game where food has become the main topic.
I'm just not as funny as John Crook. Here's the pitch, 2 strikes, ground ball, foul ball, diving stop at first. He'll tag the bag, but it is a foul ball.
I do wonder if John Kruk planned some of the things he's going to say, because they are just so outlandish and unexpected that...
I thought about that as well, but at the same time, baseball is a sport of reflection. It is a sport where you're often thinking a lot. And a game like this is slow. And you can't have these stories in basketball or football. So at a game like this where it's a long day, it's a long game, we're in game 2 of 2 out of the day, sometimes you got to break out some interesting conversations. It's kind of like a podcast a little bit. But in basketball, all those conversations that I would have had are all pent up because you don't have time to say anything. You got to stay on topic. But a walk to Lougheed will put 2 runners on. Jude Cotter, the batter, drove in a run on a hit by pitch while he was at the plate. And he's going to try to extend Audubon's lead. McGovern, first pitch, strike called. 0-1.
As we work back to baseball here, McGovern's done a really nice job of finding the zone. He's just had a little bit of struggle with keeping that ball in the infield, as we saw Bozarth lined it down right field, and we'll see what happens here.
Feels like this inning is comparatively normal after the crooked inning we had in the fourth. 25 at bats, 13 total runs. I feel like both teams are trying to turn that into a mulligan with how this game has been. It's just kind of like we never really left, because Audubon goes with a 4-run lead now. There's a strike called from McGovern. It's 0-2. On the on-deck circle will be Evan Paxos in the number 7 slot. He has reached base twice, a walk, and then a 2-run single in the third. 0-2 from McGovern, poked out towards shallow right field. Lero going back. He'll make the play, and the infield fly rule was called. I don't agree with that. He was definitely on the outfield grass. That should not have been an infield fly. The circumstances for it were right. There were 2 runners on, and there were less than 2 outs, but with Lero trailing back to the outfield grass, it should be, and listen, I could be proven wrong on that, but I don't feel like that was ordinary effort enough. Because the infield fly rule is something that should be called when you are absolutely certain when it is ordinary effort. But in that play, that reminded me of Andrelton Simmons from the 2011 NL Wild Card. That controversy, that's what it felt like to me. Because what if he drops that ball and those runners are able to move over? I feel like it really should be solidly in the infield to be called an infield fly rule, which is how it usually is. But I guess it's not really all that harmful of a call.
I'm inclined to agree with you there. We saw it earlier in the game in the first inning, actually, with Bozart's fly ball, where almost same depth, different scenarios, but if that was the same case where that ball drops there, what do? I think it's a little too close to have that one be called.
Exactly. It's one of those things where you got to be absolutely certain that that ball is not going to leave the infield for you to make that call. 2 balls, no strikes to Paxos. But that was the biggest controversy of the infield fly rule, was the 2011 NL wildcard game between the Cardinals and the Braves, which ended up setting up, that play ended up setting up the Cardinals to win that game, and they ended up winning the whole thing. They played the Phillies in the NLDS, beat them. Maybe I'm thinking the wrong year. Maybe it was 2012. But 2011 was the first year of the wild card game.
Well, which year did Ryan Howard
tear his ACL? That was 2011 Game 5.
Yeah, so I believe it was 2011.
Chris Carpenter had a complete game. 3 balls, no strikes. Walk to Paxos would load the bases. And he takes a strike.
It'd be nice if I could remember those Phillies teams because, man, they were loaded, and I feel like we take what we have now for granted.
Yeah, that run from 2009 to 2011 was such a slow slip because you made the World Series in 2009, made the NLCS in 2010, and then lost the NLDS in 2011. It's one step backwards every year. That'll be ball 4 to Paxos. It is the 11th walk that Paul VI has allowed on the mound. And the bases are now loaded for Theo Caladros, who in his 2 plate appearances in the prior inning had a double and a hit by pitch. But again, if you're PVI and you lose this game, first of all, I just want to say for both teams, tomorrow might even be more of a crooked game because I don't think Cameron Street can throw a full 110. As there's a ground ball to third, picked up. They will not throw home, and they'll throw to first to retire the side because there were 2 outs in the inning. Caladros grounds out, and PVI escapes a tough one as Audubon loads the bases. Through 5, it's Audubon 10, Paul VI with 6. Top of the 6th inning. First pitch up and in to Mason Myers. 2-3 and 4 for the Eagles in a 10-6 game. I'm Dan Wilkins, joined by Gavin Van Rel on the call. Van Rel will be joining us as well on Sunday. That one's up and in. 2 balls, no strikes. But what I was saying before the inning ended was that if you're PVI and Ocean City, if that's what the consolation third place game is going to be, what pitching are you going to have? Because Ocean City used 3 pitchers today, and they also, I mean, the only guy that they didn't use was Cameron Street. As that ball flares out to second, Broglie's not going to have a play, and that's an infield single. I'm not sure if that hit off the mound or if that hit off of Bozarth. But either way, Mason Myers has an infield single to lead off the 6th.
Well, Dan, that's a great question you just proposed about the pitching, and it kind of leads into the even bigger picture. Something that this tournament we haven't seen much. A team like Ocean City that has over an hour-long drive that they have to make 2 days in a row, that's really brutal after losing that first game. That it kind of questions. Last year we saw Camden Catholic, Bishop Eustace, and Kingsway. Kingsway being the furthest drive, and before that, Cinnaminson and Kingsway being the longest drives.
Yeah, but Cinnaminson and Kingsway, Cinnaminson and Kingsway are like 25 minutes from here.
Well, yeah,
Ocean City is over an hour.
It's very interesting. That's a team that Audubon has not played in years.
I don't think they've ever played Ocean City. If they did, it was in the Diamond.
So it's very interesting to see Ocean City be brought into this tournament for, I don't know if they'll be in it next year.
Listen, coaches make calls and things happen. I mean, Kings Christian was in this tournament a few years ago as a non-NJSIAA member when John Scanzano was the head coach. They had some great guys on that team, though. Jacob Cheeseman was one of them. Pretty sure there was an Audubon connection, too, there, because Logan Gilbert, his older brother, was on that team.
Yes, Chase Gilbert, my Little League teammate on Parkside Lodge.
Third throw over to first. Not in time. That ball skipped away, but it was able to be recessed enough to stay in play.
That Parkside Lodge team that beat the winless Lions in the playoffs.
Oh my gosh! Don't remind me. I forgot that we were winless that one year. We went 0-16. Fly ball foul. That's the good thing about the Ralph Shaw. We are reliving old memories.
Well, that Parkside Lodge team had designated hitter Theo Calagros on it.
Yeah, you're right.
It's a multi-generational story
I
here.
forgot about that. Yeah, no, I forgot that my last year playing organized baseball in 6th grade, we went 0-16. No one's up. Although, did I tell you that I tracked my stats in Little League?
No.
I would actually.
I wish I tracked mine. They'd be bad.
I hit 275 with 2 doubles and 8 walks and 8 hit by pitches in my last year of Little League.
I had a lot of walks.
Well, that's pretty common. It's Little League.
I remember
those games are like 15 to 14 every time.
I think my best hit was a double off the right center wall.
Yeah, I had a few doubles, but I remember one time I was looking at the scorecard after the game, and they scored the home team scored, or my team, the Lions, scored one of my errors as a hit. And I told them, I said, that's supposed to be an error, right? I'm not supposed to get a credit for hit for that. And they said, why? And they said, well, right fielder dropped the ball. It was a standard pop fly, and he dropped it. And it hit his glove, so that counts as an error. And then the coach responded me to something that I wish that I remembered his name, but he said, kid, you're 12 years old. The fact that you're correcting me on scoring means that you're going to be a professional someday in broadcasting. And listen, the coach might not have been wrong, as there's a fly ball to straightaway center. Pilla, good move there. Took a step back and then moved in. I really like that move there to make that play. He'll retire Rogers on the fly ball, and it's going to bring up DeJalianardo. Because that was one mistake that Pilla made when Rogers had the double back in the 4th inning, was that he took a step forward instead of taking a step back. Probably would have had that play if he stepped back on the fly ball. So what he did there, he corrected. It's easy to overcorrect a step back and then move forward, but it's not easy to correct a step forward and then go backward. it's easier to do that than the vice versa. So the fact that he stepped back and then recollected, moved in, that was a good play.
Yeah, and he doesn't have to deal with it as much as Bozarth in right field does. Or, excuse me, Owens in right field does. But the field conditions, this same outfield is what the football team uses here for their practice field. So there's a lot of skid marks in right field and right center field from cleats. And
runner goes. Myers running. Throw is late. Double steal. Delayed double steal, and he's in. Myers and Shear both advanced. Shear waited until Myers got down to third to get down to second. He was about halfway. So that was an interesting one. But it's now 0-2 to Giulianardo in the 5 slot, hitting for Santino Vitrello. Line drive into left field, a base hit for Giulianardo. Picked up by Filippi. He fires home. No throw. RBI single. Dom to Giulianardo, and PVI storms back. It's 10-7.
the game's not over yet. Something
Not
you
by any
see
means.
in high school baseball is sometimes as you get into the later innings and there's a 3-run, 4-run, 5-run gap, some of these players will start to give up a little bit as you're younger and not as into it. PVI, a team with a culture where you do not give up based off any deficit, and they're still here to play. They've got a really tough team, and I'm excited to see this finish.
Big swing and a miss that time by Conway. That'll be 1-1. Throw down to second. It's cut off by Schofield trying to avoid the first and third steal. Schofield came rushing in that time. I think they were expecting PVI to try that play where first and third go, the first baseman go first, and then the third baseman gets a delayed steal of home. But it'll be 2 balls, 1 strike. Top of the 6th inning, 2-run single. If he drops this down, could make it a 1-run game. Fly ball to left, just like we were talking about, but Filippi comes in, he makes the catch, runner tags. Throw to the plate is late, and it's a 2-run ball game. Sac fly to left by by Caden Conway, and it's 10-8.
What's that movie called? The Never-Ending Story?
Yeah, I guess so.
I do believe that this game might be never-ending, and that's a good thing because this is really good.
Listen, I see this as a net positive for Bishop Eustace, of all people, because regardless of who wins this game, you are going to be gassed tomorrow in terms of pitching. The offense still might have some fire to it, but Paxos has pitched a lot. He can't pitch tomorrow. Bozarth won't be able to pitch tomorrow. You've basically used your 1 and 2 guys. I would have to imagine that Broglie probably gets the start tomorrow if I was Audubon, if I was Richie Horan. But the only other guys that they've had on the mound this season are Broglie and Matt Pachowski, who has an infinite ERA. That one goes into right. That's a base hit. Owens with a throw. On a line. Not in time. Runner down to second. He is safe. Schofield can't believe it. And Paul VI storms all the way back again. 10-9. And Schofield was left speechless at the call at second base. We'll look at it in a second. It's an RBI single for Caden Conway. Or pardon, for Caleb Cassakert. Owens had that strong throw to the plate. So Conway with the sac fly, and PVI now with a 3 spot as Mission is the batter. Strike called. What a wild game this has been. No balls, 1 strike. 10-9 as PVI with a 3-run 6th inning. And Audubon is going to need some hefty insurance because even though they've been up in this game by as many as 4 runs, this game has really taught a valuable lesson that no lead is ever safe in baseball. And the tying run is in scoring position. Swing and a miss. Bozarth with a huge strikeout. And even though Audubon might disagree with the call that got him there, we go to the bottom of the 6th in a 10-9 game here between the Eagles of Paul VI and the Audubon Green Wave. So whoever loses this game will be first versus them. What's the record of the Audubon? They are 2-1 right now. They lost to Clearview to open up the year. We were actually there for that. They lost in 5 innings, and then they took care of Candy Catholic pretty easily, and they beat West Deptford 5-1. See, new pitcher. Everybody watch the pitcher. Watch the pitcher. New pitcher. Watch the pitcher. I can't tell who that is. 15 is Jack Walsh. New pitcher, yeah. What's my phone? Welcome back. Jack Walsh, the new pitcher for Paul VI. He is the 4th pitcher for the Eagles this afternoon. And like I said, no matter who wins this game, the benefactor of this is Bishop Eustace because Audubon has used 2 of their pitchers. PVI has used 4, with Trent Ferrara getting the start. Then it was Will Howell coming out of the bullpen, one of the most reliable guys for PVI, not having his best night. And then we saw Cooper McGovern kind of shut things down. That was probably the best guy we saw, and now it will be Jack Walsh. He only has a 1/3 of an inning to his name as a ground ball to first, backhanded. He'll flip to first, diving head first, and he got him. So diving in head first on that one that time. That'll be 1 out in the inning as Pilla's retired. We'll turn it over to the top half of the order, or the top of the card rather, for Cade Schofield. 1 away.
Yeah, to just keep what you're saying going, Dan, if you're Bishop Eustace, you do have to be really excited here. Looking for back-to-back Ralph Shaw championships, and that was a game last year. They 10-run to Audubon in a freezing cold morning. Hopefully weather will be a little nicer tomorrow.
Well, like we said earlier in the broadcast, it does look like it's going to be that kind of day. It's going to be 66 degrees rather. First pitch, it'll be 59 at 12 noon. as it's 1-0 to Schofield. He's reached base twice on 2 walks. He's 0 for 2 otherwise. 2 walks, the fly ball, and a strikeout. There's a line drive in the left field, a base hit for Schofield. Talk about the first hit, he got it right there. And Schofield gets on with 1 away in the 8th, or the 6th. Feels like this game is in the 8th for how long it's been.
Well, the comparison's the same. Audubon can win it in the top of the 7th.
Just like the top of the 9th. Batter will be Broglie. Although, no, excuse me. Filippi, excuse me. I don't know why I said Broglie. He's in the on-deck circle.
Filippi looking to take his first swing of the day.
Yeah, he still has not swung the bat in any way, shape, or form. And he's now faced 4 different pitchers. He faced Ferrara, he faced Howell, he faced McGovern, and now he's facing Jack Walsh.
He's over 15 pitches in today. And still no swing. Granted, 7 of which were very outside.
Throw back to first, not in time.
His first at bat being a 4-pitch walk, and his second being a 5-pitch walk.
He has walked 3 times today and has come around to score twice. Walsh looking at the runner at first. Schofield, a transfer from Highland Regional. Swing and a miss, and Schofield also uncommitted. I mean, the college commits in this lineup, you've got Bozarth committed to Eastern, but everybody else is either uncommitted or too young to be committed at this point in time. A lot of class of 2027s and 2028s. Runner goes. That one's high. Throw down to second is bobbled, and it goes into left field. Here comes the throw. He's safe. Cade Schofield. That takes some steel right there as Schofield takes second base and advances to third on the ball that got miscarried. Got mishandled that time, and it goes into right field. So Schofield got the base hit and some hefty aggressiveness that time. Here's the 2-1. Filippi, for the first time today, swings the bat, and it'll go foul. 2-2.
Well, that speed tool of Schofield is one of his stronger abilities that is really underlooked as a player. Still, I believe this year's a really big one for him when it comes to college recruiting, as last year you're a transfer, you're still a sophomore, young, and now if you make a strong case here, you'll get a really good look from some local schools. That
one is low. It's 3-2. Filippi, as we were told, is going to go to Villanova, but only academically. I mean, hey, that's still pretty good. I mean, for a private school, part of the Philly Big Five.
I wish I could go to Villanova.
Be nice. Well, you almost went to West Virginia, so
almost.
That'll be even nicer. Here's the 3-2. And for the 4th time today, Colin Filippi has walked. He's 0 for 1. He had 1 strikeout when he batted for the 2nd time in the 4th inning as a part of that wild 7-run frame. And Broglie bats now with runners on the corners and 1 away. With the wind blowing out, that's the wild thing about this game. This wind has been blowing out pretty consistently all day, and we have not seen any home runs.
The wind is it's a little misleading here. It feels colder than it is, and the sunburn on my face and arms disagrees.
Oh yeah, I am a little burnt. Oh well. I got sunblock in my bag. I can fix it tomorrow. That one's low. 1-0. Broglie, the second baseman, and again, we don't know if he'll start tomorrow. We don't know if he'll pitch. I would have to imagine Audubon here is going to try to be as conservative as possible, and they've got to walk a fine line because you either, try to put in Broglie and then use your top 3 pitchers in one game, or you keep Bozarth in and run the risk of giving up the lead to PVI. So neither of these teams have the deepest of pitching depths. And I got to imagine Bishop Eustace is smiling ear to ear watching these two teams duke it out against each other. Because the worst case scenario for Bishop Eustace would have been to see one team get blown out and one pitcher only get used, because that leaves the door wide open.
Yeah, Dan, I would think that Chase Bozarth might stay in to close this game. Broglie, who pitched most recently against West Deptford just the other day, I don't know if you really want to give him that one inning because you don't know what could happen. I think they'd rather take their chances with Bozarth.
Yeah, because Broglie, for him to pitch on back-to-back days, he would have to throw under 20 pitches, which is not a guarantee. And not only that, you could run the risk of PVI taking the lead. We've got runners on the corners. One out after Pillow was retired on the 3 unassisted. Broglie RBI single and 3 Ks, and you can make that 4 Ks for Matt Broglie, out number 2. And Chase Bozarth will now bat. This is the one thing that you can really do as a good relief pitcher is to help your own cause. Because Audubon desperately needs this insurance. They need to be at ease about this 7th inning. And I don't think that they're going to be at ease unless Bozarth or somebody drives in at least 1 run. Should be noted, PVI will bat 9, 1, and 2 in the 7th inning. It'll be Martine, Laro, and Myers. So if one of those 2 runners reaches in the top of the 7th, no matter what lead Audubon has, I don't think this game is safe by any means. It's been a wild one tonight. 10-9. That one goes to the backstop. It hit off the netting. Filippi will go down to second. Schofield with the short backstop here at Audubon holds at third.
I'd like to believe even more if Bozarth can drive in at least a run here that he would be staying in the game to finish his cause.
Especially with that lead being a little bit wider. That's the 2-0. Short grounder, fair ball to short, picked up, run will score, throw is in time. And no, excuse me, there were 2 out, so that does retire the side. I don't know what I had going wrong there, but PVI does keep Audubon off the board. They get 2 runners on with a base hit and a walk, but nothing more. Let's see, Bozarth is staying on the field. I think he's going to close out this game. Wow, so many things on the line tonight as Audubon looks to go back to the Ralph Shaw Championship right after the break. Welcome back. Top of the 7th inning. Chase Bozarth facing Cole Martine. Remaining in the ball game here. What a wild game it's been. 10-9.
I could do a few more innings.
A game defined by the fourth inning as this one's lined right back to Bozarth. Foot race to the bag, and he gets the out. He flipped it to Paxos. I couldn't tell what happened there, but he did get the out.
Looked like some dirt might have gotten in Bozarth's eye.
Yeah, he kind of flinched back. Gabe Laro is the batter. First pitch to Laro is low.
Laro is up to bat, but looming in that on-deck circle
Mason
is
Myers.
Mason Myers. And if you're Bozarth, a guy who has yet to face him in your high school.
That's a ground ball off the mound into center field. That hit straight off the center of the rubber, and it gets into center field. Gabe Laro, the tying run is on with a one-out single. And now the Coastal Carolina commit, Mason Myers, who has been on a bit of a cold stretch this year. He was 3 for 15 entering the game. Is going to try to impress Kevin Schnall and the folks in Conway with a good performance here in the 7th. Throw back to first, not in time, and it skips away from Paxos, but he's going to hang on to this one.
Motion in the dugout for PVI, assuming that they can get through this inning maybe with the lead.
Yeah, I mean, you want to warm up somebody just in case because you never know what's going to happen. I mean, a double play ball ends this game, but a home run swing gives you the lead. Here comes a throw down to second. Lougheed with an arm. Ball got loose. It goes into center field. Pilla stumbled while standing up, and it's a stolen base to make the count 1-1.
Well, you get the quick out to start the inning. I almost wonder, do you think about walking Myers here with the open base?
I mean, he does have 2 hits today. He's 2 for 3. A walk, 2 singles, and an RBI. Strike called. Pardon, the count is 2-1. Here's the problem, though. Nick Shear, even though he doesn't have a hit, he does have an RBI. So, I don't know what you want to call this, but... Well, he kind of walked him. He hit him.
Well, you can call it a hit by pitch, and that's effectively the same result.
And you still have a double play ball in play, though, with runners on first and second. So that stolen base really broke up the double play, and now Audubon, in their quest for 4 DHS, tries to get back into the double play ball with runners on first and second. 4:59 here in Audubon. This game is now 2 hours and 50 minutes long, with the first pitch at 2:09 this afternoon. So we thank you, Gavin, for sticking with us here, as that one's up and in to Nick Shear. He's 0 for 2, grounder and a strikeout. He's got a hit by pitch and a walk to his name. Strike at the letters. 1-1. These two teams have combined for 10 hit by pitches in this game. Would have to imagine there's a joint team field trip to CVS for some ibuprofen after this game is over. Here's the 1-1. Big swing and a miss. That couldn't have come at a better time. Have to imagine if Bozarth shuts this down, he's the player of the game.
Well, when Bozarth's able to locate his curveball, that is a massive breaking ball that he can use and rely on, especially in a scenario like this.
Shear versus Bozarth. The 1-2. Grounder in play. Third base. Bobbled. Safe. Everyone is safe. Bases loaded. You can't script this any better. 10-9. 1 out. Again, with every passing batter, you got to imagine Bishop Eustace grinning ear to ear because these two teams are wearing each other out, and I don't think they're going to be at 100% tomorrow. Bozarth to Rogers. And now a base hit in the shallow outfield gives them the lead.
Well, I think if you're Bozarth, you have to be even more concerned about not walking or hitting the batter here, something that was struggled with when he first came into the game. That just cannot happen here in the top of the 7th.
Bozarth came in for Evan Paxos, who only completed 3 innings. He was taken out with nobody out in the 4th. And Bozarth would have 4 innings of relief, and he would have the win if he gets it home today. Strike called, 2-1. Two balls, 1 strike. Ground ball. It goes through into left field. Filippi, oh, he flipped it. It goes right under his legs. 2 runs in. Here comes a third. Flip this game on your head. Pull the 6th. Heroics, blunders, all in the same. 3 runs come in to score, and it's 12-10. How do you do? 3 runs on a double. That's going to be a single and an error. And Audubon in disbelief as Paul VI in a topsy-turvy game enough to give you motion sickness has put 12 runs on the board, and Bozarth is out of the game. The Eagles have forced the Green Wave's hand, and we will have a pitching change. A 3-run single. That'll be a single and an E7 as it went under the legs. I mean, Colin Filippi literally did a split. I think he slipped on a wet part of grass. And the new pitcher for the Green Wave is number 15, Joe Waller, the 3rd pitcher of the game. This is going to be his first varsity appearance as a true freshman. When we return, PVI leads 12-10. Joe Waller is pitching here in the top of the 7th inning. I don't think I could have predicted this game if you gave me 100 guesses. Audubon had the lead in the bottom of the 1st inning. PVI took it back in the top of the 4th. Audubon retook it in the 4th rather. PVI came so close to getting it back, and now they lead for the first time since the 4th, 12-10. 3-run single by Gabe Rogers. It's a single and an error on the left fielder Colin Filippi. And the lead has changed for the 4th time in this game. Waller upstairs. So I thought that they were going to go to Broglie, but they're sticking with their guts, and they're going to the sophomore who has never made a varsity appearance, at least this season, for the Green Wave. Fouled back.
I don't think Audubon predicted themselves being here. Looking back at that 4th inning when they took the lead, I couldn't have imagined it would have gotten to this kind of a game where now we're going to go see the bottom of the 7th. We'll see if Audubon can mount a comeback. Those words are shocking coming out of my mouth.
The fact that we had the 4th inning that was as wild as it is, you know, an inning so crooked it was basically turned on its head. And now you've got a 2-2 count from Waller, again, who's never made a varsity appearance, to Dom DeJalianardo, who already has an RBI in this game.
Yeah, this would be a nightmare scenario for Audubon here because you don't want to put Broglie in at this point. It's already too late. You've lost the lead, and you got to save him for whatever you get tomorrow, whether that be...
That ball's hit out towards center field by DeJalianardo. Pillett's over his head. Rogers coming around third. It goes all the way to the wall. Run scores. It's 13-10. RBI double by DeJalianardo. And a 4-run inning for the Eagles. This is astonishing.
You talked about, Dan, how Bishop Eustace might be smiling at the pitching effort that PVI or Audubon has used, but if PVI goes on to win this game, do you think the momentum might carry over into tomorrow?
I would say yes, but I would also be wary about that because, like I said, PVI has used 4 pitchers in this game. No amount of momentum is going to take care of a gassed pitching staff. I mean, there's no amount of momentum in the world that tells me that a pitching staff this depleted after the resources they've had to use today is going to be entirely successful tomorrow. And I could be wrong. That play at third baseman looks back, plays in time, and there's 2 away. I feel like the last game I saw at Audubon like this was when Timber Creek played Audubon. It was in the rain, April 27th, 2023. And Audubon won 10-9 in 7 innings. Jack Dempsey had a walk-off single in the rain. The rain almost got so bad they were about to call the game off and call it a tie.
I do remember that game. I was down in Mount Ephraim on the JV
On the JV
field,
team, yeah.
and no roof can protect you from that kind of rain, especially not one on that field. That was a torrential downpour. I was next to a guy
we were in the rain tent that day. This ball's hit out towards right center field. Bozarth is there, who comes into right field where he started and now returns after being subbed out on the mound. What an inning for Paul VI. 4 runs, 3 of them coming on a 3-run single and error by Gabe Rogers. Can you believe it? It's 13-10. Last swings for Audubon after this.
In life, the road ahead is full of possibilities, but to navigate it safely, you need the right skills. Harper Driving School is the premier driving school serving Gloucester, Salem, and Camden counties. With experienced instructors, many of whom are teachers in local schools, we are dedicated to your success and will help you master the road with confidence. With an over 95% success rate of students passing their road test on their first try, you know your student will be in good hands while embarking on a huge step of their young adult lives, all while avoiding the lines at the DMV and getting insurance discounts.
We chose Harper, and so should you.
New pitcher for PVI. It's their 5th of the game as they're going to try to pick up the win. This would be a save situation for number 17 out of the bullpen in Caleb Cassicart. He comes in from shortstop to pitch. We had 3 defensive changes. First of all, Cassicart, the sophomore, 5'10", 170, 2 innings this year, 3 walks, 2 Ks, a 3.50 ERA. He pitched once in that wild, topsy-turvy 10-6 loss against Rancocas Valley. The changes in the field. Cassicart moves from shortstop to the mound. Nick Shear moves from first base to shortstop, and in the game at first base is Mike Finelli. First batter for Audubon in the bottom of the 7th will be Ben Lougheed, 5, 6, and 7, as that one misses. And this game will just crossed the 3-hour mark. It is just the 3rd baseball game in Dan Wilkins Broadcasting history to cross 3 hours for a 7-inning game.
How long did you say that longest one was?
Sayreville, Matawan was 3 hours, 8 minutes.
Well,
So we could get there tonight. Now, the longest baseball game, regardless of innings, was from this past March, Bergen and RCSJ, but it was a 9-inning game that was 21-11. 7 home runs were hit, and it went 4 hours and 11 minutes. That is also because there were 8 pitching changes, 4 on each side. No pitcher threw more than 2 2/3 in that game.
well, we're just about in that same boat.
And it
with
was
pitching.
like this, though. I didn't really care because it was 70 degrees out on March 11th. It's a 2-1. Strike called to Lougheed. Ben Lougheed, 1 RBI in the game, had an RBI single in that crooked 4th inning. He's had 2 walks and a strikeout, so he's 1 for 2. This is unbelievable, though. Swing and a miss. He got him. This dugout is going to go nuts if they win this game. Batter is now Jude Cotter.
Well, peaks and valleys for this PVI dugout, who was dead silent in the bottom of the 4th inning, and you could hear a pin drop. At this point, though, the roles have totally switched.
That one's hit well out towards left field. This one's going back. It is going to one-hop off the bottom of the wall. Big hit for Cotter. He's going to go to second. He'll jump in safely. 1-out double and some loud cheers for Jude Cotter as he got that one rocketed off the bat and puts Audubon in a little bit of business here, down by 3 in the bottom of the 7th.
Well, at this point in the game, that's what you have to do. You have to come in being ready to hit. There's no looking to get on base by a walk or anything. You have to be prepared to put runs on the board. You're down by 3. It's not a 1-run game.
You got to chip away one piece at a time, just like they did in the 4th inning. One swing didn't give Audubon that lead. It was a slow chip. By the way, Governor Livingston lost to A.L. Johnson today. That broke the longest win streak in New Jersey baseball history at 40 consecutive games. They won the state championship in 2024. They went 28-0 in 2025, the first public school since 1980 Pennsville to have an undefeated season. The last team before them was Don Bosco in 2007 to have an undefeated season. They started off 7-0 before losing to A.L. Johnson today.
Wow, I would love to see that 1980 Pennsville team. I can't imagine what that team would have looked like.
I wouldn't know anything about it, but Fred Swartz would, and we'll see him tomorrow. But it is now 0-2 to Evan Paxos, who started this game on the mound and moved over to first base when he was taken out for Chase Bozarth. Audubon's used 3 pitchers this afternoon. Runner goes. It's outside. No throw. Cotter dives in safely. So Jude Cotter with the stolen base. That's a risky one to take on Gabe Rogers there, or pardon, on Cole Martin. I guess unless you want to call that defensive indifference. I mean, I wouldn't call it defensive indifference because Rogers, punched up from his crouch like he was going to throw. But that's a swing and a miss. Second strikeout for Caleb Cassicart as he's going to look for the save. So Lougheed with the strikeout, Connor with the double. If Audubon falls, they will fall to 2-2 on the season and would face Ocean City in the consolation game. It will be the first time since 2019 that Audubon did not appear in the Ralph Shaw Championship. One ran inside to Caladros.
Well, I get the feeling if you're Caladros there, you might have needed to stay in there and take that pitch.
Take one for the team.
It's a very close one, and mentally, you never want to get hit by the ball, but sometimes you got to be stronger than you are mentally.
That one is low, 2-0. Caladros, a double in the fourth inning. He started that 7-run rally in which Audubon, with one out, had 8 straight base runners and scored 7 runs. 2-0. Ground ball out to second. This could do it. Throw to first. Welcome to the Ralph Shaw Championship, Paul VI. 13-10, 4-run comeback in the 7th inning. And in a game that goes 3 hours and 5 minutes, a crooked ball game, a slugfest on both sides, and Paul VI wins it 13-10. Caleb Cassikert with the save, Caladros with the final out, and for the first time since before COVID, Audubon will not be represented in Sunday's final, and they'll have to settle for a bronze medal at best versus Ocean City tomorrow.
Well, Dan, I got to tell you, there's a lot riding on that game for PVI tomorrow. Pitching-wise, they're going to be short-staffed, and they're facing a very tall task with the Bishop Eustace Crusaders. Notably, they have been amazing in Ralph Shaw tournaments. They won the last one. They're looking to win this one. And on the other end of the spectrum, Audubon faces an Ocean City team who got beat up pretty bad today. But at the same token, if you're Audubon, this is a killer loss. You had the lead multiple times. You had 2 great innings, and to fall apart like this, it's a crusher. So tomorrow, big games for both of these teams here and both teams that played earlier today.
Well, not only that, let's talk about PVI. They've already played Bishop Eustace. They played them as recently as last Wednesday, April 1st. They fell to Bishop Eustace 5-2, and that was a game where they were shut out until the 7th inning where they scored 2 runs. And in that game was Carson Brandt, who, if I'm correct, is available tomorrow. So not only is this going to be the second time they've faced, it's going to be their second of 3 because they're in the Olympic National. This is a divisional game tomorrow. So they will face them tomorrow, and they'll face them on April the 30th at PVI. So just wild here, and I think we might have some visitors. We've got some visitors. Yeah! Go, you like that! You like that! You like it! You like that! We have a good offense! We have a good offense! You like that? Oh my gosh. Wow.
Well, that was loud.
I think my eardrum just blew out. How about that for PVI? No, but we were just talking about that they're going to play them another time this year outside of Sunday. They're going to play them 3 times in 1 month. So I think it goes without saying this team's going to be hungry. This team's going to be ready. I'm a little bit worried about how PVI is going to do, though, tomorrow because they did use 5 pitchers. As we said, Ferrara pitched in that game last week versus versus Eustace. He threw 3 innings. Mike Finelli and Christian Williams, who we did not see today, also pitched in that game as well. So going into Eustace PVI tomorrow, that's going to be fun.
We might get another drive-by.
Should I?
I'm not sure.
Should I shield the mic?
I don't know.
I don't know.
They have a coach with them. Maybe not.
I got to hide my microphone from these people. Oh, my goodness. But the championship is set for tomorrow. It'll be Bishop Eustace and Paul VI. As far as I'm concerned, a coin flip will determine who is home because Audubon is not participating. And then the consolation game for 3rd place will be Ocean City versus Audubon at 12 noon tomorrow. Gavin, your final thoughts on this game because it's been wild.
Well, for starters, 3 hours and 5 minutes is no short time here. For PVI, they're going to be exhausted pitching-wise. We've said it a million times, and I'm going to say it once more. I am curious to see how they're going to take that into tomorrow and who they're going to have go, because obviously you can't have Ferrara go. You can't have Howell go. Maybe an inning, but it's going to be really rough. Alternatively, their offense, like they said as they ran by us, they have a good offense today. They showed it, and they have no trouble getting base runners on and moving them around. Their defense was also outstanding minus that first inning. So a really, really strong team going into the game tomorrow. Alternatively, Bishop Eustace is just a powerhouse in this tournament, and they are a very good team. I wouldn't be shocked for that game to be on par with this one, if not better. And at the same token, Audubon, you have to go into the locker room, you have to regroup, figure out what you're going to do tomorrow, face a team that you haven't seen maybe ever in Ocean City. And if you're Ocean City, you have to drive over an hour to come here early in the morning. You got to get up. It's going to be a really rough game tomorrow morning.
It's going to be rough as well, and I think what with Audubon and Ocean City both being kind of gassed, I honestly think the consolation game has a chance to be closer than the championship game. Not saying that PVI is going to get blown out, but I think that when you talk about what these two teams have to offer, PVI used 5 pitchers today. Audubon used 3, and they only used Joe Waller for less than 20 pitches, so he could theoretically pitch tomorrow. But if Broglie gets to start versus Ocean City, I don't know if Ocean City's going to start Cameron Street, because do you risk running your Division I number 1 guy in a non-conference game? Because Ocean City still has the Cape Atlantic American schedule ahead of them. They're 2-4. They have to play Millville on Monday and Tuesday, so they've got 4 games in 4 days. They lost to Ocean City today. They'll play Audubon tomorrow, and then they're going to be with a hungry Millville team that's 1-6. They've had a lot of rough games this year, and I think Millville could surprise Ocean City if they don't play their cards right. So Ocean City going into the consolation tomorrow versus Audubon, 2 very unfamiliar opponents versus 2 very familiar opponents in Eustis and Paul VI. Not much else for me to say except wow. What a game it was. The final score tonight here from Hank Greenberg Field, Paul VI 13, Audubon 10. The time of game was 3 hours and 5 minutes as Paul VI will face Bishop Eustace, their own divisional opponent in the Olympic National, in tomorrow's championship game. From our entire crew, our social media coordinator Haley Mejia, our graphics crew Caleb Lane, Carson Rosso, and Fisher Giannotti, my producer Colin Morris, my color commentator Gavin Van Rel of Rutgers Camden University, and I'm Dan Wilkins. We will see you tomorrow starting at 12 noon for the consolation game between the Ocean City Red Raiders and the Audubon Green Wave, to be followed by the championship game between Paul VI and Bishop Eustace. Have a good one, folks.